new American media.
Did we really just do that whole intro without sound? I think we just did that whole intro without sound. I'm already into it. So let's just keep it going and pretend we're going to do a brand new intro. And I only noticed because Facebook started playing and I heard the intro to the show. So let's do the new intro, broadcasting to you live from the Orion Spiral Arm of the Milky Way Galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere in between two formerly tariff nations. My name's Brian Engelman. Today's Thursday, May 15th, 2025, and this is the TNAM Daily Show.
Your guide to the truth, the new American media.
So that whole intro, you didn't get to hear any of it, but you're listening to it now. So if people jump in live, they won't notice. But if they're watching after the fact, I'm glad you stuck around. Or hopefully you bounced around and figured out it was just the first 2-3 minutes of the show. But yeah, this is, my God, my kingdom for a producer. Yeah, I would love to do this show where I could just focus on the content instead of all of the bells and whistles. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy it. The lights, the different screens, sharing the different tabs. But man, could you imagine how nice it would be to have these things pre-planned out and just in order, pre-sketched and ready to go? Well, whatever. We'll get to that point at some time. But for now, you're looking at a one-man show here at the New American Media with 1 million people who've helped out along the way. Thank you to everybody who has been a part of this journey and helped us out along the way, collaborated with us, been guests on our program, etc. So what I was saying is we're going to get into today's topics, which are RFK Jr. and Josh Hawley targeting pharma abuse. That's important because we have been looted, plundered. We've been robbed like pirates. The government that we've had has a deep disdain for us. They view us as just revenue sources to hold upside down by the ankles. Isn't that what Vanilla Ice's story about Suge Knight? Want him to sign over the royalties to his song? Which song? Stop. You know which song. No, it's not Stop This Train because I want to get off. It was Ice Ice Baby, I believe. I think that was in the behind the music. But that's what politicians look at you like. You're just somebody they can flip upside down and shake by the ankles and see what falls out. Can you get a wristwatch? You get a wallet? You get a credit card? Yeah, $36 trillion on a national debt credit card. You didn't authorize that spending. Why should you be on the hook for any of that? You shouldn't be. Let those assholes be on the hook. Let them lose their pension. Let them lose their benefits. What are we even doing? So we're just recalibrating. The old world order was just abusing humanity as much as they could. And now with the MAGA agenda, it's fixing stuff. And you're starting with pharma. Because when you say prayers, as I do, and if you don't, I hope you do. And if you haven't started, maybe consider it, Maybe there's something out there that's greater than us, whether it's a simulation, a god, or what have you. Maybe there's a point to all of this. Maybe there's not. I'm going to choose to not be nihilistic here. But if there is a point to all of this, you would imagine that there's a right way and a wrong way to live. You should not be too much of a burden on other people. You should try to give back. And you should try to create. And what the powers that be have been up to was really just abusing you. And there's a recalibration occurring right now. Resetting of trade deals, resetting of expectations. And when it comes to pharma, what I was saying is when I make time for prayer, reflection, I'll say something along the lines of a prayer for health, wealth, wisdom, and love, family, legacy, royalties, commissions, residuals. You want some sort of income that's going to keep paying you. So you set it up once and it just pays dividends. It's like interest on putting money in a bank, etc. But at the top of that list is health, wealth, wisdom, and love. Like there's not much that matters if your health is shit. And, Bobby Kennedy's addition to the Trump administration has been nothing short of, it's interesting to think about, because if Bobby Kennedy had been allowed to actually run on the Democrat ticket, he would have been the nominee and not Kamala. I got to work on my Kamala impression, get like some of her favorite catchphrases. I think I could do a good Kamala. But for now, I'm working on my Bobby Kennedy Jr. But Bobby Kennedy really pushing for health in this nation. It's just, I don't know. I've fostered animals, and it's like when animals have been unloved for so long and then you love them, it's like sometimes they don't know how to. When we've been so abused by the pharmaceutical business from medicine. David is saying it's strange. Since yesterday, all of a sudden, YouTube is asking me if I want notifications turned on. Hey, maybe somebody watched the show and they heard my frustration at the end about all the shadow banning and the fact that I can't participate in Google AdSense and that they don't share my show to my 6,500 subscribers on YouTube. Maybe they're like, we'll give this guy a chance. He's not so bad. No, I've never been so bad. I've just been bad to the evildoers. I've been a thorn in the side of the abusers. I've been uncomfortably forward, open, and honest about attacking the demons who are preying on humanity. So, yeah, to the bad guys, I'm a bad guy. But to all the rest of the people, I try pretty hard to be pretty good. I would stack my. I think I'm doing all right. I'm trying pretty hard. The only thing is my notifications were supposedly on already. Well, David, you jump in. David's one of the regulars. I encourage every one of you to become a regular. Please jump into the show. Okay, it does look like we're streaming on X and Kick and Twitch, but not D Live. For some reason, we cannot get D Live to work. Is Kick working? Kick should be working. Yes, we are streaming on Kick. I'll pause that. Go over to Twitch. Where's our channel here? Because we've had to circumvent YouTube. They banned us. They shut us down for a week. They're like, oh, you had misinformation. I had misinformation for fucking what? USAID has been funding the anti-American deep state? Ooh. They had to silence me for that one. Slap on the wrist. How dare you? How dare you steal our money, launder it through the non-governmental organizations, which are obviously governmental organizations, to fund anti-American bullshit, to fund your riots and your mobs, your brown shirts, your theater, your high school theater plays. Oh, we're so angry. We're in the streets. We don't like common sense. We want open borders and crime everywhere. Rah, rah, rah. No, we don't. No, we don't. But they are putting on a play. And so YouTube hated that I did that episode. That was the episode that got me banned for a week. So I'm on Kick, Twitch, D Live, streaming in different places. I'll put those different places at the bottom of the screen here. Please follow us in more than one spot. David and everyone else, please. The New American Media is on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, D Live, YouTube. Search the New American Media, hit subscribe. Hello, Kenneth. Yeah, we got our regulars showing up. I consider myself to be a bartender. I poured, filled up the ice bins and cut the lemons, limes, took down the tables or took down the chairs off the bar, wiped everything down, opened up the doors, flicked on the open sign. And now the regulars are pouring in. That's how I view this. I've been a bartender. I've bartended quite a few shifts in my day. So, yeah, belly up to the bar. We want to hear what's on your mind. But yeah, please, to all the regulars and the first-time viewers who powered through me not having volume for the first 2 minutes, that was awesome. Follow us in all these places, please. We're also on X at American_media_ and subscribe to 2 of our podcasts. The Agree to Disagree show includes the TNAM Daily Show, of course. Just the Agree to Disagree show covers it all, so subscribe. You'll take a Sam Adams. Hey, you were here during that episode when Sam Adams jumped in. His name's Larry. He's a truck driver in Texas. He's been a regular for a long time. We actually had Samuel Adams, that's his pseudonym on Facebook, join us recently, which was great because he used to join all the time. But yeah, subscribe to the Agree to Disagree show on Spotify and Apple for the podcasts and the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. I don't have any Agree to Disagree show merch, but I do have the Unhappy Hour Sports Show coasters. These are wooden, Ohio made, laser engraved. And that right there in the corner, that's a pin. Can you see it? Yes. The Unhappy Hour Sports Show pin. It's the beer mug. So if you shoot me a donation on Venmo of $75, I'll give you all of these. That includes shipping. If you just want the pin, it's $25. You want both of the coasters, that's $50, or just one set of the coasters, it's $30. So shoot me a Venmo with your address, and I will send those out to you. Just include your address and tell me exactly what you want. Yes. Also, staying with the bar theme, anybody wants to toss a buck into the tip jar, we're on Patreon at the New American Media. We're on Venmo and Cash App at Brian Engelman, and Fuzz Installment on PayPal. Yeah, Kenneth has one. Yes, he does. I forget, which one did I send you? Which one did you request? The Ohio shape or the circle shape? I don't recall off the top of my head. Kenneth also sent me this and some music, which I've listened to. Thank you, Kenneth. It's a fun thing we got going here. But yeah, you're regulars. I consider myself a regular, even though I'm here working. This back and forth conversation makes it way more interesting. And that's what gets me going during the day. Oh, you got the state. You got the state of Ohio. That'd be this one. It's super. I think it's super cool having an Ohio shaped. And they're thick. Well, anyway, I'm not going to open it up. It was sticking, but they're nice coasters, right? They're wooden. They're cool. They're sturdy. They're nice coasters. I don't know. Awesome. All right. Well, let's jump into the news. We got a million stuff going. Million stuff happen. That didn't make any sense. A million things happening in the news. So let's jump to our Instagram feed. If you want a sneak preview of what is going to be on our show, go ahead and just follow us on Instagram. You'll get the preview. Bobby Kennedy Jr. here, going off on Democrat members of Congress. This cannot be understated, just how relevant and important this is to society. Get the freaking poison out of our food.
Anybody thinks that we did gold standard medicine in this country from these institutions, look at our children. They're the sickest children in the world. Lori, you say that excuse me, Congressman DeLauro, you say that you've worked for 20 years on getting food dye out. Give me credit. I got it out in 100 days.
I'll give you that credit.
All right, so let's work together and do something that we all believe in, which is have healthy kids in our country, for God's sake.
Miss
Do
Dean.
that together. It's not, there's no such thing as Republican children or Democratic children. There's just kids, and we should all be concerned with them.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Ms. Dean.
Mr. Secretary.
I love that. That's just so good. We said, God bless Bobby Kennedy and President Trump. We're finally addressing how humanity has been poisoned for decades. We're on such a great timeline now. Wait a minute. Why was that a minute 50? That was only a 40-second clip.
To reissue the dietary guidelines. And we're going to do it very quickly. We have until January, but we're going to do it. I think we'll have it done even before August.
No more food pyramid with Fruit Loops at the top.
And we took the...
No more Bill Gates or wacky vegan bullshit saying, we need to eat soy. We need to eat more seed oil. We need to have more junk. No meat. No, it should be like meat and fruit and vegetables and like real food. Meat. Fruit and vegetables, yes. Dairy? Dare I say dairy? I don't know. I like dairy.
Biden guidelines, which were 453 pages long and were clearly written by industry, that are incomprehensible, driven by the same industry capture and those kind of carnal impulses that put Fruit Loops at the top of the food pyramid. And we are
The Fruit Loops pyramid. Yes, still liking the music. I'm going to have some deep concentration blocks of time scheduled, and I think I'm going to bust that out. It's good music to kind of have going, and since I don't know it and I can't sing along to it, my brain sort of enters I don't know if it's a theta state, but my brain enters a different state where, as a musician, it's challenging for me, because if I put Pandora on and I start listening, well, I know the songs and I'm tapping and I'm playing the drums because I memorize the drum beats and I memorize the guitar parts and I memorize whether I'm intending to or not, it just happens. But if it's stuff I don't know, that's why I like listening to lo-fi, low fidelity. There's some lo-fi channels that'll just play endless lo-fi. It's just it's just there, and it's not elevator music. It's just there, and it's different, and I don't know where it's going or what and I can almost hypnotize myself into a state of focus. So yeah, it's definitely good to still have music like that. Actually, I haven't gone through all of the I haven't gone through all of the playlists by any stretch. There's a lot of songs on there, but not a ton of lyrics yet. But either way, it's music I don't know, so at least on the first listen, it's not something some will blow my mind. What should I be waiting for? What music is going to blow my mind? Is there a particular DJ or artist or musician that I should be looking for? I know, Fruit Loops. They said, have 1 million boxes of cereal each day. And you know what? I did. And it's not just that you're eating wheat and you're eating sugar, which you are. You're getting the glyphosate. They're spraying all your corn and your wheat with fucking poison. Well, how are you going to... Well, the problem with playing it on random is that when I tried to do that on my computer, it wouldn't let me. It was kind of like I had to open the folder or open the file. I couldn't make a playlist. I wanted to play it on random. I wanted to open it up and tap play all and just shuffle. It wouldn't load into the iTunes, so I had to go folder by folder. But I'll try again. But once again, because I'll see what I can do about it. Blank in Jones. Okay, most of it is Blank in Jones. Got it. Cool. But yeah, man, it's not just that sugar is jam-packed with sugar, which it is. It's glyphosate and it's all the poison. And they said, well, you can't grow food. The bugs will get it if you don't come on. We're in 2025. We have to have better ways to create our food without putting poison on it. Because the same thing that rots the stomachs of the bugs that eat the leaves or that eat the wheat or that eat the corn, what do you think it's doing to our stomachs? What do you think it's doing to our system if it's rotting the stomachs away to kill the bugs? Why the hell would I want that in my body? I don't. But man, I will raise my hand. I was a cereal addict. As a growing boy in high school, my God, open up that door in the pantry, look around like, oh yeah. My dad, he's a resourceful gentleman. He's a thrifty gentleman. So there would be a lot of strange cereal that he would pick up at Big Lots. It's like, oh, this is on clearance. I'm like, there's a reason this is on clearance. So it was totally fine. And then there's some grab bag like, ugh, this is terrible. Whatever. But man, I would polish off those boxes. Honey Bunches of Oats. By the way, I'm on day 3 of a food fast. Just of a fast. All I've had was, okay, to be fair, I'm all over the place there. To be fair, I'm on day 3 of a fast. Day 1 was no food. I did get one bourbon at the Louisville Comedy Club because I was performing, and part of my routine involves bourbon. So I needed it as a prop. I have been going and just ordering a soda water. You know, just kind of cutting back and whatever a little bit. But so I did have a bourbon. And then I performed another club that night, and I did get a second drink, which I drank about to half throughout 2 hours, and then came up and used it as a bourbon type prop. It was like a brown craft beer. But other than that, yesterday was just coffee, water, and salt. You got to replace the electrolytes, I think. By the way, don't take any of my medical advice, and don't fast, and don't ever do anything ever. You do you. Don't ever listen to me on anything. Except, of course, I'm here because I want you to listen to me about these things. But yeah, salt in the electrolytes. I actually had the Himalayan salt grinder. I'm at the kitchen. I'm drinking some water. I'm like, grab the salt. I'm going. I know somebody could screenshot that and make it like a nice try, Diddy. The way that looked. Last time Kenneth gave blood, they asked if you fast. I said no. I took my time. I know. All the glyphosate and all the junky pesticides on the food. Not just limited to one brand. Not just Roundup. It's whatever the hell they're spraying. Yeah, it's a real serial killer then. But anyway, yeah, I was grinding the salt shaker for salt, and it was like I kind of felt like I was having a meal. Sometimes I get like just a craving for salt. Sometimes sweet, sometimes salt, sometimes crunch. Yeah, I'm on day 3 of this, so food sort of starts to feel like, what was food? What is food? I don't even know food. And then sometimes when I start thinking about eating a bowl of honey bunches of oats, I just turn into Homer Simpson drooling over a waffle or something. But I'm doing okay. Cheers to health, wealth, and wisdom and love. Family, legacy, loyalty, royalties, all those things. All right, back to Bobby Kennedy here.
We're changing that. So we're.
But what he was saying there was about the cereal, how they're changing the food pyramid and recommendations because they, being the elected leaders, took their payoffs and said, hey, we'll just write this thing. It'll be good for our industry. It'll be good for you. We'll work with each other. You know, these people are either too stupid to know that they're being duped or they just don't give a shit about selling us out. Bobby Kennedy, he's got that Kennedy money. He don't care. He's just trying to fix some stuff, and I appreciate him for that.
We're going to have 4-page dietary guidelines that tell people essentially eat whole food, eat the food that's good for you. That's going to drive changes in the school lunch programs. And we're going to need your help to make sure we can get good school lunches to Head Start. I've been touring these Head Start facilities. Everything they eat is in a package, and it is just loaded with sugar.
Prepackaged garbage. Seed oils, loaded with sugar, loaded with salt.
And with chemicals.
Chemical. Petroleum-based food dyes.
We're poisoning this generation, 800,000 kids, the poorest kids in our country, and we're...
By the way, Kenneth, I do have my new set. I will share it with you. I just remembered that.
Starting them out with this count against them, with, diabetes. Pre-diabetes, 38% of our youth now are diabetic or pre-diabetic. That was 0 when I was a kid. Anybody thinks that we did gold standard medicine in this country from these institutions, look at our children. They're the sickest children in the world. Laura, you say that excuse me, Congressman DeLauro, you say that you've worked for 20 years on getting food dye out. Give me credit. I got it out in 100 days.
I'll give you that credit.
All right, so let's work together and do something that we all believe in, which is have healthy kids in our country, for God's sake.
Miss
All
Dean.
put that together. It's not, there's no such thing as Republican children or Democratic children.
Okay.
There's just kids, and we should all be concerned with them.
All right, good. The last part was the clip you saw before. That was the repeat of that. But yeah, just thank you. Overdue. Let's go. Joey Manarino says House and Senate Republicans really expect us to vote for them in the midterms, despite delivering nothing of value since they've been elected. The midterms are going to be an absolute wipeout for the GOP if they don't start to deliver on the Trump agenda immediately. Hey, Joey Manarino, let me tell you, I am out. Out. I am out on the GOP. Kevin McCarthy what a terrible speaker. Mike Johnson, what are you even doing, bro? Are you working for the other team? I am out on Mike Johnson. I'm out on Kash Patel. I'm out on Pam Bondi. I know Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are working through a series of things to get the ball rolling. They've given us breadcrumbs. But when you tell us you're going to give us the JFK files, but you don't really give us the full JFK files, and you've redacted more than we've had as publicly available information in the first place, just like you did with the Epstein files, we feel like we're suckers. We feel like we got a hook in our mouth. You caught us while fishing. And I really do think Kash Patel and Pam Bondi can redeem themselves. Maybe Speaker Johnson can too. But you're all getting failing grades right now. Failing grades. Go. Anything that President Trump does by executive order can be undone by executive order. And that's what Biden's puppet masters surely did in that first week that he took when he seized control of the American government. Shamefully seized control in January of 2021. Where was I going with that? Shamefully seized control in 2021. The puppet masters. There you go. You need to codify. Is it codify or codify? Where's Bella's chance? Bella lives in Cape Cod. Is it codify or codify? You need to turn these into laws. You have the House, you have the Senate. You can figure it out. Get it done. Pass all the things. You've passed nothing. You're on taking vacations. Go to work. Just get to work. Just get to work. Please. Get some stuff done. What do you guys say in the comments? Burger King, Taco Bell. Yeah, I had some Taco Bell. When was that? Somewhat a week ago, 2 weeks ago. But now I'm fasting. I was just feeling like not much myself. And it's just a recalibration to do a little bit of fasting. And then I don't know. I don't know how long I'm going to go. I'm on Thursday. I should be able to get through today relatively easily. We'll see how it goes. Code. You think codify? Like, yeah, it's in the code. It's written in the code. That's what I call it as well. But I've been hearing people say codify. Like when you codify something, you're adding heat to it to sear it. Like you're codify. Isn't that a thing? You codify a wound? Let's see what Grok says about codify. No, not codify. Cocktail misunderstanding. No, hold on. It's looking for my last one. Isn't that a word? Cautify? Yeah, cauterize. Cauterization when bleeding cannot be controlled by direct pressure. Tourniquets, other methods, and medical help is unavailable. Severe bleeding in a remote area. Not for minor wounds. Painful and risky. Yeah, cauterization. Yeah, I think it's codify, but I've been hearing people say codify. When I hear codify, I'm thinking of cautify with flame and heat. Yeah, more like cautafly. They've been catching a lot of, it's summertime, so they're out. And some of them are getting into the house, and it's not pleasant. Hey, in your area, are you seeing all those thousands of bugs everywhere that are bursting out of their shells? Are those cicadas? What are those? Are they bad for us? Are they This is something every 7 years, 15 years. What are in Florida, in Ontario, are you getting those bugs that are molting and leaving like shells of like, I was here, but now I'm not here? All over the place. Mike's too busy playing with his Johnson. David saying, honestly, there needs to be indictments and arrests because people are going to lose it. Kenneth, David, how have we not lost it yet? Anyway. I am totally fine getting rid of all of the GOP and replacing it with MAGA. I have no love for the Republicans. They've been in on the scam the whole damn time. Oh, we're going to talk a lot of talk, and we ain't going to do shit. We're going to do the same stuff that the deep state wants us to do, that the New World Order wants us to do, that the globalists want us to do. Whatever name you want to put on the puppet masters of the very upper echelons that issue their edicts, and they bribe and blackmail and threaten and abuse people on their way down so that they get their way and everybody stays in line. Yeah, well, the Republicans have been lying to you, taking that money and accepting those threats and accepting those bribes and doing as they were told this whole time. MAGA's different. MAGA's maybe the only chance we have to save this country because we were headed for seriously dark times. And that is why I gave so much of myself over the past couple of years. It's why I've cared so much about these topics. You know, often with great personal sacrifice. You know, I'm not looking for a pat on the back per se. I'm just saying society was effing doomed if we were headed on the same path. We were toast, and I couldn't sit by and let it happen. So I figured, well, while I got a life to live, while I got a voice, I'm going to use it for some good. Not like I have every answer. You know, Jordan Peterson says, clean your room. You don't know shit. Why don't you take care of yourself first? And I'm like, there is truth to that. I'm looking around my room. I'm like, there's a million things I could do to make this room a little better. But when I see things that I know are intentionally wrong, I got to call it out. I got to fight it. Got to resist it. We were heading on a very dark path. God, along with MAGA, rules. Yeah. What is that image? What are you saying? Oh, flies have also started getting into the house. Yep. Yeah, just a few bugs. I spent last year, I got a power washer. Oh my gosh. Power washing 70 years of grime off the driveway. It went from a black driveway to like, bro, I got a new driveway. My neighbor, Curb Appeal Kent, as I call him. It looks like something straight out of HGTV. You're like, that's a show house, man. Good job. Good aesthetics, good groundskeeping. He's like, dude, your driveway, that looks incredible. And especially when you mash it up, when you combine it with crisply manicured weed whacker, string trimmer lines down the sides of the crisp concrete. Oh, there's something nice about that. I did that 2 days ago, trying to get it in between the rains. And, but yeah, I also power washed the house. And at the ground level with the stucco, with the basement, there's a lot of cracks and things settled and chipped and cracked. And I used the blue painter's tape and put all the stucco patch, and it's held up really good. It hardens up like a concrete stuff. It gets really nice. It's held up really nice. And I have not had the same amount of problems. I used to have a lot of problems, knock on wood, with little crawly things getting into the home. And just sealing up that base layer made a massive difference. Maybe not exactly 100%, but it's been solid. And you know, that's where I guess we all have to kind of balance work-life balance, and we have to pursue our passions, whether it's music or stand-up comedy or podcasting or sports or whatever it is. Then it's like, however you're living, you know, you got to put some time into where you're living. There's always regular routine maintenance. You got to paint things, you got to sand things, wash things, seal things. It's not easy being a homeowner, but but it's been a lot easier since Michelle and I, we lit the White House with the rainbow flag. So it's been a lot easier for homeowners in modern society. No, I said homeowner. What did you think of? Never mind. Anyway, let's keep it going. Yeah, MAGA is the party I care about. GOP can go to hell. They're either ineffective or they're playing for the other team, actively blocking it. You're seeing some of the key players up to some really crazy bullshit right now in the GOP. You got to vote them all out. You got to give the president a massive red wave in the midterms. You have to give the president a massive red wave. Oh, the Democrats might take it back. Who's voting for a Democrat in 2025? You have got to be a mental patient to be voting Democrat in 2025, knowing that they want violent criminals in the country instead of rule of law, order, and deportations. You have got to be a mental patient to say, I want more wars like we helped pop off with Victoria Nuland, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden over there in Ukraine. Yeah, that was a U.S. proxy war against Russia, just like Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, John Kerry, Joe Biden were doing in Syria against Russia. Oh, remember when they impeached Trump? Guess what? Putin puppet. He's a Russian agent. Russian P-tapes. Russia. Shut up, deep state, about your fucking Russia obsession. I don't want them dominating and taking over sovereign nations in the world either. If that's your premise, fine, we can start there. But what they were doing when they overthrew Ukraine in 2014 to put their puppet Zelensky in, to start pushing for NATO and pushing more troops and pushing more weapons up against the Russian border, being warned. Chickens come home to roost, blowback, unintended consequences. I don't want to go back to that. Who in their right minds wants to fund illegal alien invaders' healthcare and unlimited credit cards in New York, in Los Angeles, pick your place, over veterans sleeping on the streets, receiving no healthcare, no benefits, no assistance? Give me a break. From Lake and Riley to the 1,000 other cases that you see on a daily basis, scrolling through. Another person that was twice deported, 10 times deported, had no business being here, came in and killed one of ours. Killed one of our Americans. That's on the Democrats. The ones that opened the floodgates during Biden's term intentionally. Oh, there's a migration crisis. You, the Democrat deep state, did this. You did this intentionally. There's not a migrant crisis. Matt Walsh called it the Great Replacement Theory. And you're seeing you're seeing the stark contrast between how 59 white farmers who are fleeing being butchered in South Africa because of their skin color versus 30 million illegal aliens from God knows where, Afghanistan, China, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Palestine, Central America, South America, Africa. Who the hell knows? But have you seen the weird reaction from the left when 60 white people get an asylum claim? When they're literally being hunted? The crosses line the roads out there of all the white farmers that have been abused, tortured, brutalized, and deleted. It's weird. So you can call it the Great Replacement Theory. Remember Biden was up there with Mayorkas? And we're going to be a minority. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Come on, man. You know, in 30 years, the thing that the population, the minority, we're not going to see. The point is, we're not going to be the minority, the majority, and that's a good thing. I've played you that clip before. That is their plan. That's the teleprompter he's reading. Somebody typed that. Somebody told him to say that. That is the Obama doctrine. to flood sovereign nations with people from parts unknown to permanently change the dynamics of their culture forever, trying to get people hooked on free money handouts from USAID, stealing money from your pockets. Once again, that's the theme of the Democrats. Steal money from you, give it to the people that broke into your house, and then try to make it really difficult or impossible to get rid of them. By the way, that was one of the biggest reasons why I left Los Angeles. One of the biggest reasons I sold my condo. They were making it almost impossible to evict people. And I'm like, well, hell, if I'm on the other side of the country and I'm renting it out and I'm not there and someone's paying the mortgage, if they stop paying, wait, I'm on the hook. I can't sell. I can't kick them out. And they made it almost impossible. They have been working for the dirtbags and the deviants, these demonic deep state monsters, for far too long. And we're recalibrating all that now. Damn, it feels good. First time in my life I felt a little bit of political hope. I'm not holding my breath. I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch. I'm not going to put $100 bet on it. But yeah, I do call it Los Angeles, Kenneth. I do. I've always called it Los Angeles. That's for sure. The comedy routine I sent you. Well, I started telling some of that story about the place I moved into in Los Angeles. But I think I'm going to elaborate on that in the months ahead. I'm going to keep working on that bit. I have an idea of where it's just trying to drop more punchlines, more jokes. It's a process. Yeah, the Democrats are Democrat. And look, I know there are some well-intentioned, well-meaning, good, well-intentioned, I was going to say good-intentioned, well-intentioned people. Okay, my cat has moved along from meowing at me and getting on my paperwork. He's not sitting on his cushy area. There's a chance he's in my laundry basket. I don't know. Kenneth, you can help. You can help with what? I don't know. Oh, with tightening the set. Okay, gotcha. Yes, please do. We call that punching it up. Kenneth, please punch it up. Yeah, I told Kenneth for a while, I was like, maybe I can retool the TNAM AM show into like a comedy show. There's a lot of writing that goes into it. There's a lot of pre-production. There's a lot of... Even Bill Maher, isn't his show only once a week? It takes a long time to put out like a funny product. I still have ideas. We'll see how it shakes out. I'm doubling down on the comedy. I think that might be where I'm supposed to be. Yeah, I tried to do comedy in Los Angeles. I think I've told you that story before. It was like at the height of the beginning of BLM, a super great excuse to just hate Trump, but we're gonna put a mask on it. No, it's about BLM. Sure it is. No, it's just about hating Trump and putting your foot soldiers on the ground to burn cities and terrorize people and really threaten people into silence so that you can get your compliance and people wouldn't stand up to your Marxist, Leninist ideologies. Communist, socialist, whatever ist. Yeah, I went to a comedy event and I almost got on stage to do a couple minutes and it was I was in the hood because I lived in the hood for a long time. I lived in the hood, if you can believe it. And went off to MLK. What was the name of that place? I can see it. It was right by the BW3 on MLK. I can see it upstairs, downstairs. They walk down. It's all these jazz photos from like the 40s, 50s. The place has been around for a long time. It was so much anti-white, angry comedy. And it was like aimed at like the four of us sitting at the table, like the only white people in this place. It's like a dance club on the weekends, but it's comedy on the weeknights or something like that. And that was almost my debut to comedy. I thought better of it and said, yeah, nah, not today. But I'm glad I'm doing it. But I have so much room for growth. It's just muscle memory, I suppose. David saying there will still be some mental patients voting. I know, we got to clean up the voter rolls and pass the SAVE Act. What are we doing? Space Invaders, like Illegal Invaders, a future video game, yes. California is such a huge mess, indeed. Chris Brown? What's the latest with Chris Brown? I don't even know that one. Hasn't he been arrested a million times for like battering Rihanna and doing something? And I know they're all on the Diddy thing now. So I don't know. Anyway, the point was screw the GOP, get to work, and all the GOP ineffective people that are blocking the MAGA agenda need to be voted out in the midterms. And all Democrats need to be replaced. That party needs to be shattered into 1,000 pieces and scattered to the wind, in my opinion. According to Breitbart, Republicans are reintroducing Justice for Angel Families Act to financially help victims of illegal immigration. Breitbart asks, will Democrats continue their love affair with criminal illegal aliens, or will they put American citizens brutalized by illegal aliens first? The eyes of the world are watching. House and Senate Republicans are reintroducing the Justice for Angel Families Act to provide financial help to the American victims of illegal immigration. This week, Senator Roger Marshall, Republican, and Republican Troy Niels, Texas, reintroduced Justice for Angel Families Act to amend the Crime Victims Fund to include angel families whose loved ones have been killed or victimized by illegal aliens. Yeah, you should bill the Democrats. It was first introduced in 2022. Under the legislation, angel families would be eligible for federal funds to cover medical expenses, lost wages, funeral costs, and more relating to their loved ones' cases. Legislation was also codify the Immigration and Customs Enforcement's Victims of Immigration Crime Engagement Voice Office, which serves angel families by helping them with their cases. Quote, President Trump is righting the catastrophic wrongs of the Biden-Harris administration by restoring law and order, securing our borders, and putting an end to the lawlessness that plagued our nation for too long, Marshall said in a statement. But for countless angel families, the damage is permanent. Their loved ones were taken from them because of a disastrous open border policy. I urge my colleagues to join Congressman Niels and me in delivering justice and ensuring these families receive the resources and support that they deserve by passing the Justice for Angel Families Act, emphasis added. With Republicans now leading Congress, angel families are no longer ignored. R.J. Hoffman, president of the National Immigration Center for Enforcement, NICE, said. They're called NICE, National Immigration Center for Enforcement. NICE. I'm going to put NICE button. I like leaving breadcrumbs in the comments. Kevin Kiley says, Gavin Newsom just backed down in response to our pressure. The governor announced he is freezing his policy of free Medicaid for illegal alien invaders. No new adult enrollees will be allowed. But this is not enough. We will make sure Newsom's reckless policy is reversed entirely. Thomas Massey says, here we are in Congress, another 4-day work week for the House, and still no votes on the DOGE cuts. To pass cuts to corrupted U.S. aid funding, for example, in a rescissions package requires only 51 votes in the Senate and a simple majority in the House. Thank you, Mr. Massey. By the way, Thomas Massey follows the New American Media on X. Are you aware of that? How many of you knew that Thomas Massey follows the New American Media on X? Check this out. Thomas Massey. Whoa, hold on. Where's the full screen? There he is. Thomas Massey, U.S. Representative, Kentucky 4, engineer, farmer, inventor, 30 patents, Appalachian American, pronoun Papaw. Thomas Massey, Representative Thomas Massey, follows you. I'm upside down on my X count. I got to unfollow some people. I can't follow him back. I clicked the wrong button one time and mistakenly unfollowed President Trump, and I can't follow him back. I have to delete. I have to unfollow some people that I'm following. How silly is that? Anyway, Thomas Massey is pushing for sanity. Did I type anything here? Thank you, Mr. Massey. go full steam ahead and push these losers into action. Any GOP member that can't or won't support the MAGA agenda needs to be primaried and replaced ASAP. Please remain a beacon of light to guide Congress, Mr. Massey. We appreciate you. Yeah, Thomas Massey is over the target on a lot of policies. We appreciate him for sure. Eric Daughtry saying just in, the Trump Department of Justice is now reallocating funds that were previously used for transgender projects and for racist DEI measures to instead support law enforcement, according to Fox. Bravo button. Going after the dirtbags is necessary. That other stuff, you can do your pet projects, you can do your anything you want personally to do, that's fine. You do it with your own money, you do it over there. You're not going to prioritize that from us. Here's Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's equally frustrated with what's going on. Here she is speaking in this hearing. Take a listen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Democrat.
Sorry about I can't turn the volume down. Hang on. I got to turn the volume down here because it sounds like shit. Actually, that was my comment. Fix the audio. All right. What screen is this in and how do I turn the audio down? Okay. I think here it's at 100. Let me turn it down to 40 and let's try this. Remind me to turn it back up. Someone say turn volume back to 100 when this is done.
Democrats have spent the last 4 years terrorizing Americans with their open border policies. They flooded our community.
And just that popping, that they call it popping the system. That's actually the name of our first album, Pop the System, with Twist of Nothing. I believe you can find the whole album on YouTube. It's on the I Like YouTube with a U. I Like YouTube Just Fine account. Just search Twist of Nothing. I think it's up there. Maybe it's not. Maybe if it's not, I need to. But yeah, when you plug instruments in or you unplug them, it'll pop the system because it's a sharp connection or disconnection. You need to mute the mic before you pop it in, and then. But yeah, it's just an audio issue. They need a gate. It needs to like clip. It's clipping. It's going into the red. So as an audio guy, like I just can't stand it. But to ignore the audio issues and listen to what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying.
Communities with over 13 million illegals from over 170 countries and territories who invaded our borders, raped our women and children, and murdered our own people. It's shocking to hear them to continue to defend cartels, MS-13, and terrorists today. Democrats claimed over and over again that legislation was needed to fix the problems that they created, yet to this day, no new border legislation has been enacted, and border crossings are down 93%. It was just reported that according to CBP, only 5 aliens were temporarily released into the United States in all of April. Only 5. This is compared to the 68,000 released in April of 2024 under the Biden administration. Thank you, Secretary Noem, for your great work and your leadership. This is truly saving America. There's nothing Democrats love more than defending the cartels, the criminals, and the rapists, and now we finally have a president in the White House and an administration that defends the American people. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
There you go. Bravo, Marjorie Taylor Greene. What did we say?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hold on, we got to mute that. We said, thank you, MTG. It's time to clean up this deep state Democrat destruction. Repeal, impeach, indict, and retire every Democrat in America. That party has become a criminal enemy of the state. Thank you. Moving on. I will change my volume. Got to click on this. Got to go from 40 to 100. Hopefully that worked for you. I still sounded loud on my end. I don't have like cans on. I don't have headphones and I can't hear the feed. I could have muted this and pressed this button and pressed that button and went over to one of my other feeds and turned that volume up. Didn't have time in the moment. Joey Manarino, I like sharing his stuff. He says, I'm beginning to hate the Republicans more than the Democrats. They aren't even trying to act like they give a damn about saving this country. Imagine having the power to send legislation to the president's desk that could actually help save our country and instead doing nothing with your time. We voted for you. We put our trust in you. You have a president willing to sign legislation and instead you do nothing. Is there more? When this country falls completely, it will be on you. Actually, let me change the aspect ratio. When this country falls completely, it will be on you guys for not doing something. When are the executive orders being codified? When is the immigration bill hitting the president's desk? When is the election integrity bill hitting his desk? When is anything going to happen? You Republicans in Congress are lazy parasites, and I am utterly disgusted by you. You have the power to do something and choose to do nothing. Shame on you. I'm going to do utterly disgusted by lazy GOP parasites button. Yep. That's where we are, folks. Okay, whoop, stories are continuing. So, hold on, whoop, things are moving fast. In the comments, do you know if they arrested Chris Brown, the singer? His arrest supposedly just happened. Okay, well, let's see if it's not trending. Rock Nation is trending in music. Yeah, I will jump to some breaking news if something's happening. Tory Lanez, Chris Brown, and now DDG all have allegations from women signed to Rock Nation. When will people wake up?
He just was never.
I got it. I can't play this because of the music behind it. Tory Lanez went independent. Rock Nation offered him millions to sign with them, but he declined because you know how labels were stealing from artists, only for Rock Nation to frame him later. Now he got stabbed 14 times before the evidence came out. Yeah, they tried to off him like they did Chauvin, like they did to Epstein. I don't know, call me crazy, but it just kind of seems like you should have enough oversight where prisoners aren't getting shanked like this. All I see is Rock Nation. Let me just type in Chris Brown, though. Because, yeah, that Tory Lanez story, he got stabbed 14. Chauvin got stabbed 30 or something, 40. They're trying to actually pardon him. They're like, look at the autopsy. The dude had a lethal amount of fentanyl in his system. The video looks bad, but it doesn't look like those actions that were taught by the Minnesota Police Department, by the way, to use the knee to hold down a suspect. There's autopsy evidence that argues that had nothing to do with his demise. There's the freeze frame when George Floyd's mouth is open and it's got like a rock in there, a white item. And they're saying that's when he ingested the fentanyl and that's why he started freaking out, because he overdosed on it. And he had done that previously when he was arrested. So Chauvin might be pardoned. Agree or disagree with it, it might happen. But he was almost killed in prison. So let's type in Chris Brown. See if something occurred. Chris Brown got her. Hang on, let me. Am I sharing this? Yes, I am. Which tab? There we go. Sorry to do this to you. I'm going to play Kamala. It says Chris Brown got arrested. This week just keeps getting better.
I love good news. Love good news. I just love good news. I love.
Man, did we dodge a bullet? Who dodged a bigger bullet? President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, or America not dealing with this cackling hyena?
Love good news. Love good news. I just love good news.
Chris Brown posted free Tory yesterday and got arrested today. Chris Brown arrested for allegedly smashing a tequila bottle over a music producer's head at a nightclub. Oh. Chris Brown got banned from the UK for assaulting Rihanna. And the petition to overdo that only got 42 signatures. There you go. Page 6 reporting that. Smashing tequila bottle over music producer's head at a nightclub. Tory getting stabbed, DDG getting restrained, Aiden Ross losing 2 multi-million-dollar brand deals, and Chris Brown arrested all in 1 week. All right, there you go. Daily Mail's reporting it. So, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's everywhere. I'm not super familiar with smashing tequila bottle over the head of a music producer. Okay. Seems like a wonderful guy. And by wonderful, I mean, no, I don't. Yep, that's what happened with Chris Brown. Thank you for that. Anytime there's breaking news, like I said, I'm juggling chainsaws over here. I got my mind on 100 different things, which is why I could start a show on mute for the first 2.5 minutes. It's all right. I need to have a checklist before I go live. Yeah, anytime there's breaking news, put it in the comments, and if it's interesting and newsworthy enough, I'll jump to it. That's a part of live news. You never know. Mama said live news was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. I used to do a pretty good Forrest Gump. Shrimp kebab, shrimp on a stick, barbecued shrimp. Now I'm turning into like Lieutenant Dan. Yeah, so you got to go up for that. Lieutenant Dan. Lieutenant Dan. Mama said he had magic legs. All right, now I'm finding it again. I had to sort of figure out where it was. I slipped into like my Kanye. By Kanye, I mean Bubba. Shrimp kebab, shrimp on a stick, fried shrimp, coconut shrimp. He's got that jaw, Bubba. Kind of like Kanye. French fried taters, I reckon. French fried taters. A little bit of Sling Blade overlap. I did just go see Frank Caliendo at the Comedy Club. He's a man of a million voices. That was great. I like doing voices. I definitely could level up. I don't know how to like. I don't know. It's something I'm working on. Anyway, let's keep going. Took me on a side quest here. Now I'm all a kilter. Akimbo? I'm a Kimbo, not a kilter. Akimbo. Yeah, Joey Manorino is referencing the frustration that we are all having. Trump Department of Justice moves funds used for transgender projects and DEI to support law enforcement, says Fox News. We know. Was there more to this? Any more clips? Yes, there are. What else? Department of Justice under Pam Bondi will not waste discretionary funds on DEI passion projects that do not make Americans safer, according to the Department of Justice. We will use our money to get criminals off the streets, seize drugs, and in some cases fund programs that deliver a tangible impact for victims of crime. This is what it looks like to finally prioritize Americans. It's amazing to see the contrast between Trump and MAGA compared to the deep state destructive Democrats who destroy everything they touch. Such a contrast. Discretionary funds. Focus on where you're supposed to be focused. Communism survivor here says, over the last 4 years, some 20 million illegal aliens from every godforsaken corner of the uncivilized world have been ushered in and welcomed by the Democrats on the taxpayer dime without hesitation. And now that President Trump has rescued a mere 59 South African farmers who were facing discrimination and extreme violence, that's one light way to say that, in their own country, the sudden screeching and manufactured outrage is off the charts. Why? Because the farmers happen to be white. If you ever wondered if the Great Replacement theory was real, now you know. No, I've never wondered. It's been obvious. It's been a part of the Obama doctrine for a very long time. You ate at Bubba Gump's in Cancun. The food was so salty. I applied at Bubba Gump's on the pier of Santa Monica. Didn't get the job. I think Chris Pratt used to work there at that exact place. I could be wrong about that. Food was so salty. I went there once or twice. It was okay. I like Joe's Crab Shack. I used to bartend there. Breaking news, New York Times says white South Africans given refugee status by Trump arrive in the U.S. Look at that.
Because they're being killed, and we don't want to see people be killed. Now, South Africa leadership is coming to see me, I understand, sometime next week. And
South African leadership is coming to see you next week. That's a good idea.
We're supposed to have I guess a G20 meeting there or something, but we're having a G20 meeting. I don't know how we can go unless that situation's taken care of, but it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about, but it's a terrible thing that's taking place, and farmers are being killed. They happen to be white, but whether they're white or black makes no difference to me, but white farmers are being brutally killed, and their land is being confiscated in South Africa, and the newspapers and the media, television media, doesn't even talk about it. If it were the other way around, they talk about it. That would be the only story they talk about, and I don't care who they are. I don't care about their race, their color. I don't care about their height, their weight. I don't care about anything. I just know that what's happening is terrible. I have people that live in South Africa. They say it's a terrible situation taking place. So we've essentially extended citizenship to those people to escape from that violence and come here because they're being killed.
Thank you, President. What do we say? Thank you, President Trump, for helping stop this anti-white brutality. It's a mind virus. It's mass formation psychosis. Thank you for opposing the Obama doctrine of division and hate for political gain.
Okay, so when millions of people, including criminals and gangbangers, storm across our border illegally and trample our National Guardsmen while waving foreign flags, and then overwhelm our cities and set up shop and take over our homeless shelters and our soup kitchens and our hotels because they don't have things like food or homes or basic skill sets or education, and they put all of their non-English speaking children into our schools where they haven't paid a dime but will suck up hundreds of thousands of dollars every year in taxpayer resources. We should welcome an endless stream of them because compassion and diversity. But when a couple of dozen nicely dressed moms and dads with toddlers come over with a resume in one hand and an American flag in the other, and they applied to come here legally and flee racial violence in their home country where their family has lived for 400 years, all of a sudden all of these bleeding heart leftists suddenly have a problem with mass migration. Gee, I wonder what the reason could be. Okay, so when millions of people, including
wonder what that
The Trump administration has made it virtually impossible for many refugees to come to the United States, but the president is making a special exception for a group of 59 white South Africans who have now been granted refugee status.
They're not South Africans being hunted for their skin color. They're white South Africans. They got to frame it that way. ABC.
Arrived at Dulles Airport just outside of Washington, D.C. on a charter flight that was paid for by the U.S. government. The Trump administration approved
that was paid for by the U.S. government. Oh, spare me giving a shit about the money being spent on migration by the U.S. government, ABC. Fucking spare me. Are we in the trillions of wasted dollars at this point of money that's been looted from us and thrown on a credit card, a national debt credit card to the NGOs to flood our country with people that don't speak the language, with criminal backgrounds that would get them barred from entry at any place if you knew who they were? Spare me, ABC.
Their applications in just under 3 months. That is much faster than the normal process, which can take years. The president and his top advisor, Elon Musk, who is South African, have made allegations that white farmers in the country are being discriminated against under land reform policies.
Wait,
now,
I'm sorry, allegations? Allegations. That's what she's going to claim? Calling it an allegation. It's a pretty well-known fact what's happening down there. Is it not? Seems to me it's not an allegation. It's obvious. But hey, what do I know, right? Where's the, hang on. Here we go.
South Africa's government says those policies are necessary to remedy the legacy of apartheid and calls the allegations of discrimination.
It's payback. That's the Obama doctrine right there. It's payback. It's that internalized anger. You know what? We put up with some bullshit. We're going to exact our revenge. That's what this is. It's revenge. That's what it is. I think I need to drill down on that aspect. I've known it, and I don't know that I've said it so bluntly, but that's exactly what it is. It's payback and revenge. It's an eye for an eye. Well, other people that aren't these people did things, so we're going to take things out on other people that aren't those people. Huh?
Unfounded and completely false. The Episcopal Church, which has worked for decades.
Oh, this Episcopal Church, they can go to hell, can't they, huh?
To resettle refugees, says they will not be helping this time around, calling it painful to watch one group of refugees receive preferential treatment over many others who have been waiting in refugee camps or in dangerous conditions for years. But the White House says this is the beginning of a much larger relocation effort, guys. The Trump administration has made it virtually impossible for many refugees to come to the United States, but the president.
Wow. Maybe.
Will it be just from South Africa? Will it be other countries where you have other minorities?
And that's the point that many Democrats are making, that there are a lot of refugees who have been waiting in camps in conflict areas as well in Africa. But right now, the Trump administration particularly focused on this group of South Africans.
Will it be just from South Africa? Will it be other countries where you...
All right. These refugees don't even eat cats or dogs. They're eating the cats.
Trump administration, they're saying that essentially these white South Africans assimilate better, and they're also not as much.
Assimilation is what we want, what we demand. Learn the language. Take the citizenship test. Pass the background check. Stay off of public assistance. Be a benefit to society, not a drain on society. Yeah, that's called assimilation. We don't want enclaves like in how many cities in Somalia now? I'm sorry, cities in Somalia now. You get these enclaves, and they've taken over in Europe. Look, no-go zones. They become like, they're enclaves. They don't want to assimilate. They want to bring their culture, their history, their legacy, their language, their customs, their rituals, their religion, their traditions. They don't want to assimilate and become American. It starts with learning the language. It starts with learning about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and passing a civics test. And it starts with saying, I'm not going to bring any ideology that contradicts our American values here, such as Sharia. That is not a governing law system that is compatible with the United States Bill of Rights, Constitution, and how this country's set up. So yeah, is it going to be easier to assimilate if you try? Yeah, probably. You know, like if you have an American flag and you want to be here versus you come here waving your old flags and speaking your old languages. And it's like, nope, I'm just bringing my country over here. I'm a colonizer. Well, then you can go back. You can join the team. I don't care that you used to play for the Philadelphia Phillies last year. You're on the Cleveland Guardians now. There's a Cleveland Guardians way to do things. These are the second base or the third base coaches. These are the calls. This is how the catcher is going to tell you. Here's a fastball. Here's what I want you to. Here's low. Here's high. Here's how we do things differently here. Yeah, well, when I was on the Phillies, we did things different. Sir, you decided to come here. If you don't want to be here, you can go back to the Phillies. It's not about any particular group of people in any particular area. It's about assimilating to the culture you're joining, not forming a breakaway society inside of a sovereign state, inside of a sovereign nation, to try to overturn it and start putting anti-American people in Congress like Ilhan Omar, the Squad. Just casually tossing out there assimilation like that's, oh, I don't know. I mean, assimilation. Yes, assimilation is key.
Much of a security risk. That's really causing a lot of people to be appalled, frankly.
Oh, people are appalled, frankly, about assimilating. Then don't show up. Then go back. You love the other place so much and don't want to assimilate? Bye-bye.
And I also should tell people that this...
How many people are... We had a couple clips yesterday from Jesse... What's his name? Jesse Lee Peterson, I think. I interviewed him at Politicon. And he had a... I don't know if it was a Muslim cleric or an imam or just a Muslim man. Or he was talking about how his goal is to go into Christian nations or America. I forget how he phrased it. And to try to convert people to Islam. And he said, well, what happens if a Christian goes in to an Islamic country under Sharia and tries to convert people to Christianity? You know the answer. That's not happening. They call Christianity a false religion. And you know what happens if you try to do that in a Muslim country, in a Sharia country? It's not taken upon too kindly. So should there be places that people should be allowed to do the things that they want to do if they're not harming other people? Yeah, I mean, if they're not harming other people. But you don't need to bring the things that are not compatible to the places where they're not compatible and then be appalled, frankly, that people are going to be expected to assimilate into our culture and not just bring their own and live inside that little bubble. That's not a rich tapestry of a quilt of America, all these threads coming together. It's a big melting pot. No, that's taking things in a little dish and putting them in a dish on the side of the melting pot. You don't want to melt in. You know what? Just get out of the kitchen. Go.
Violence that they're talking about that are dealing with these Afrikaners. I've been hearing from people that say there is violence in South Africa. But
oh, so you're hearing that there is violence in South Africa. Oh, here's the disclaimer that, it's okay if it's against white people.
But it's affecting everybody of every...
Oh, it's affecting everybody of every single race, and that these people are not being targeted, then you're not paying attention.
Single race, Katie. Trump administration there.
Good grief.
People who are native to that land deserve their rightful land back. That is not what the Afrikaners actually want to have happen, which are the white Africans, and so who are not originally from Africa, who colonized South Africa also. And so that is what they are saying is discrimination. Now, if the Constitution in South Africa is discriminatory, they have their checks and balances in that land, just like we do. And that is for them to, so if the Afrikaners don't actually like the land, they can leave that country.
They are. They're leaving to come here.
No. They can
These refugees are coming here.
They can actually leave and go to where their native land is, which
they can leave and go to their native land. You know how that sounds? Go back to where you came from. You're so racist. The only good thing about this, and I call it the Obama doctrine, but this was happening in the 2000s before Obama. In the 90s, there was some of this. It wasn't as... There was Jesse Jackson and Rainbow Push Coalition and Al Sharpton and all these race hustlers, these race baiters. Just the most atrocious poison you can feed to somebody is just keep driving this racial division. But yeah, go back to where you came from. That was met with, oh my God, you're a racist, you're a this, you're a that. It's like, no, if you don't like it, leave. I can't stand the pizza in this place. Your pizza is pathetic. I hate your pizza. Then go away. Get out of here. Well, you should make different pizza. You should get the F out of my restaurant before I remove you. The only good thing about this boy who cried wolf, when everything's racist, nothing is racist. When everything's misogynist, nothing is misogynist. When everything is sexist, nothing is sexist. When everything is Islamophobic, nothing is Islamophobic. When everything is, they've overplayed their hand. Everything. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to go back to my tried and true. This always works. It's like in the basketball play. I didn't even cover the sports. I think I shared this to my sports group, but I haven't talked a word about sports. I don't even know that I'm going to start now that I remembered it. Because my team is out of it. My team choked. And you know what? The Cleveland Cavaliers had their tried and true, and they had the most wins in the Eastern Conference all year. But you know what? They played a team with some different strategies, and we didn't have any other tricks in our bag. And so we relied on what got us there, and we needed something different to get past. We needed to get more physical, and we didn't have it in us. So when the core of your personality and your political movement is just to call everything you don't like racist, well, it's going to backfire eventually. It'll backfire gloriously. So when she's saying go back to where you came from, it's like, oh, that's the thing we were told we couldn't say for 30 years. Now she's out there saying it because the shoe's on the other foot. Hypocritical, unserious people here.
Which is probably Germany.
Are you against them coming here?
Holland, probably. Holland. People who are native to that land deserve their rightful land back. That is not what the Afrikaners actually want to have happen, which are the white Africans.
So interesting. Communism survivor says a little history for the geographically and historically challenged. Boers aren't immigrants in South Africa. They were Danish farmers and settlers who arrived at the Cape in 1647 before many of the current Black African population's ancestors, the Zulus and other tribal groups, claim later. Okay. Did you know that? Is it relevant? The Boers and Afrikaners, the Boers' descendants, cleared and developed the land and built the country from the ground up, Danish farmers. Calling Boers immigrants is like calling white Americans, Canadians, and Australians immigrants in their own land. What is this? Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen, you know, by the way, do you agree or disagree with that? Is she articulating this correctly? I don't claim to have every component of this on lockdown. I hope to schedule an interview with somebody who is an expert on this topic. I'm very interested in unpacking this. David was saying, listening to her is driving me insane. I'm guessing that was about when I had Kamala cackling up there, right? David reminding us, yes, in that interview yesterday, Jesse Lee Peterson, the Islamist or the Islamic person that was saying he wants to convert Americans and Christians to Islam, called Christianity a false religion. That is rich coming from you, sir. What of Ray's cyst? We have to extract racist. Ray's cyst. How much are we going to have to put up with this insanity? I don't know. But anyway, do you agree or disagree with communism survivor here about her depiction of the white Afrikaners, the Boers? Agree or disagree? Type it in the comments. Or if there's any context left out, leave it in the comments however you're watching the show. Hit like, hit subscribe, however you're watching. And if you're silently watching, type your name and tell us where you're watching from. Even if you don't want to get into the show and leave 1,000 comments, that's fine. Leave one. It's a wellness check. Tap, tap, tap. Are you there? We'd like to hear from you. So yeah, Boers and doers. Boers and doers. But anyway, that's her interpretation of that. Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland, you know, the one who went to El Salvador to fight for the return of an illegal alien, wife beater, and violent gangbanger, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, cited his opposition to the white America flag waving refugees from South Africa on X. Oh. Now, if this story was racially flipped, the pejorative used for him would be called a race traitor, right? A race traitor. Not traitor like T-R-A-D-E-R. I think it's T-R-A-I-T-O-R. Race traitor. If the shoe was on the other foot. I don't know if you can call white people that. You know, because equality or something. I've always used the same litmus test. If you flip the races and it sounds really weird, if it sounds off, it's off. And it's not okay. The anti-white racism that's been happening, the anti-male policies of DEI, the division, the discrimination the illegal practices, it's been atrocious. And they've been getting away with it for far too long. I'm so appreciative that this stuff is being reversed. I'm saddened and disgusted that it's gone on this long, but I'm really happy it's being reversed. Senator Chris Van Hollen says Trump and Musk are about to give refugee status to 60 white South Africans who do not need it. Okay, Senator Chris Van Hollen says they don't need it. He knows. The guy that was calling this guy Maryland man. Okay. These 60 people do not need refugee status. Okay. This while Trump locks up and deports refugees here who face genuine dangers in other countries. Yeah, I'm going to need to ask you a few follow-up questions there, Chris Van Hollen. This is the sick global apartheid policy being adopted by this lawless administration. Hey, Maryland, do better. Fire this guy. Do better. Fire this guy. These are the immigrants that liberals fight to keep in America. MS-13 gangbangers, Tren de Aragua, violent monsters who terrorize their communities. Don't add value. They'll mess you up. They'll ruin your family. They'll destroy your life or take your life. No, we should totally fight for that. Yeah, but here's the immigrants liberals fight to keep out of America. American flag-waving people if they happen to be white. I think these are AI generated. I don't think these are real people, but it is the interesting dichotomy of the racist Democrat Party.
Let me make one final plea.
Remember when Episcopal Bishop Marianne Edgar Buddy lectured President Trump to, quote, help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands, end quote, at the inaugural prayer service? Well, apparently her compassion doesn't extend to white, hardworking refugees who speak English, want to assimilate, and pose zero security risks to our country. The Episcopal Church has announced that it plans to terminate its nearly 40-year refugee resettlement agreement with the federal government, citing moral opposition to resettling white Afrikaners from South Africa.
Mr. President, millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land. May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people in this nation and the world. Let me make one final plea, Mr.
And now they've terminated it. Moral opposition. This is South African President Cyril Ramaphosa saying that their land must be confiscated without compensation. Whoop, hold on.
The question of land. The land of our forefathers and our foremothers.
Forefathers, foremothers. They've been there since the 1600s. If that's accurate, what is this guy talking about?
Must return to our people.
Who's our people? Do you just mean black people, South African people? Because these are South African people. Huh.
Without any fail and without any payment of compensation. And
no payment or compensation.
It must happen now.
Wow. And what if you resist? What happens if you resist? They're going to take your life too, right? This from Times Live. The whites in South Africa are paying for this. What happens if they all leave? And I hope they do, just like the producers in Atlas Shrugged. This says half of South Africa's population are 100% dependent on state welfare. By the way, that's what the Democrats are trying to do here. 30 million people, put them on benefits, put them on permanent assistance, bribery, to help them steal the country. It used to be that only landowners could vote for a reason. If you don't have skin in the game, the policies don't impact you. So why do you get to set the policy when you're not a part of the people it's going to impact. You can agree or disagree with that, but that's the rationale behind it. That's exactly what the Democrats were trying to do, to replace Americans with non-Americans. That's the great replacement theory. You can take it one step further, that it's to replace white Americans or just white people in every country. Look at what they've done across Europe. Ireland, Italy, Spain, France, Germany, UK. Look at every country over there. It is a shit show. 20% of the population in these countries are not from there. No-go zones, rape squads. It's like, this is what an invasion looks like. This is what a global conquest, a caliphate, or something of that ilk looks like. I don't know how you were taught about the Crusades in school, but I definitely had some people trying to tell me this was like a quest of aggression and seizing lands, and Christians are bad and the Catholics are evil, and God is bad and Christ is bad and Christians are bad and evil and stuff. That was the reaction to being invaded by the Caliphate of Islam. That was the pushback. Do we want another pushback? Or you just want to roll down and take it, bend over and take it, like you're at a Diddy party and you've been paid your $10,000 and you're not having fun anymore. But you know what? We paid for 2 hours and we're getting our 2 hours. Fine, pass the baby oil.
Never be scared.
Never be scared. This is Julius Malema, president of South Africa's third largest and radical left opposition political party, the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, leads 95,000 supporters in chanting of a song called Dubel Ibhunu Song, or Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer in English.
To kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill. Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer, kill the poor.
There are people laughing and dancing to this. Do you know how vile and disgusting this would be if this was like a KKK dance party? It reminds me of this band that I booked in Long Beach. They were a punk band. God, these guys. Their band was called Racism's Gay. And the cover of their CD was a bunch of Klan members with their pants off, banging each other by the fire at like a barbecue or like a cookout. They're camping. Racism's Gay. But I mean, could you imagine a group of like hooded white members singing "Kill the blacks, kill the farmers," or what? It's the equivalent. I don't know. Like, do you know how like grimy and gross you would feel watching something like that? Like they're going after them because of what they look like. Look at the smiles on this lady's face in the bottom right. Oh, this other lady's smiling.
The farmer. Pa, 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 pa. To kill. Yamasa. Kill the poor, the farmer.
Yeah, you don't have a brain if you're not ready to flee that shit. So yeah, we're taking in smart people, 60 smart people who said, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And by the way, they canceled Scott Adams for saying that too. He's like, if you're living in an area where the people hate you because they've been poisoned. Adam Carolla was talking about this too with that Delta. No, Spirit Airlines, Frontier Airlines, one of them. I think it was Frontier. I believe it was a white guy who was being denied boarding, and they something about charging him a $25 fee. And so they started laughing at him and saying, we're not going to let you on. We're not going to let you on. You think you're going to get on? We're not going to let you on this plane. We're not letting you on this plane. And they're filming and they're laughing. It was 3 black ladies and it was 1 white guy at the end that like chimed in too. Well, since you said I'm never flying this crappy airline again, we're helping you with that. Well, those people were fired. I hope all 4 of them were. Not just one, not just three, not just four, or it should be all four. Adam Carolla was saying, like, you see what this is? This is the product of pumping poison into the brains of black women for 20, 30 years. That white people hate you and America's racist. And look at this one incident. This is emblematic. You're being hunted. The Democrats, the Obama doctrine has been peddling poison to Americans for decades. Like I said, not just Obama, it's Jackson, it's Sharpton, it's the whole race baiting industry to poison the minds of people, to make them think that white people hate them, to make them think that white people are hunting them, to make them think that white people get off on harming them. We don't. We don't. There are monsters who look like all sorts of things, but no, we don't feel the way that Obama puts it out there. Like, oh yeah, the way that ABC and MSNBC make it think, make you think reality really is. I need to rephrase that whole sentence there. It's not like that. But like Adam Carolla was saying on his podcast 2 or 3 days ago, or something, that's the result of making black people hate white people. Years of this shit. It's been completely unfair. You know what I care about? And what most of the white people I know care about is if you're a good person, if you're not a dirtbag, if you're not a criminal, if you're not fucking up the neighborhood. Growing up in a white area, you've known plenty of white people that fuck up the neighborhood. It's not a race thing. It's a shitty person thing. You like cool people and you give cool people a chance. And you know what? Everybody starts off equally cool in my book. Now I can designate and I can reorganize any type of person into a shitty person list in a different category based on the way they're acting. But yeah, division, it's their only tactic. That's all they have, which is why that party has to be absolutely fucking destroyed. Completely destroyed. There is no way around it. They are a domestic terror organization, and they have poisoned the minds of so many people. It's depressing. It's sad. It's unnecessary. And you know what? Most importantly, maybe, it's counterproductive. You want to succeed? Guess what? We all want everyone to succeed. There's a strategy to do it. I've heard Ben Shapiro talk about it. It's like, finish school. Don't knock your girlfriend up. Stay off drugs. Just start with these 3 things and you're going to be in a very decent starting position where we're all kind of evil, where we're all kind of equal here. It's not evil. You too can make good choices. Absolutely, Kenneth. Cool as a rule, but sometimes bad exists. Oh, I can put you in the shithead category that quick. But I'm going to start off giving everybody a chance because I don't care what you look like. I don't care where you came from. Now, I do care if you have an offensive smell. I've known plenty of white people that smell offensive, and I don't want to be around them because it's offensive. That goes for any type of human. For the most part, most people all start off cool. But when you turn offensive, when you turn like, you give me a reason to not want you around, committing crimes and fucking up the neighborhood, nope, not here. Don't tolerate it no matter what you look like. So yeah, these people are smart to get away from these people. But Scott Adams said, if you're living in an area with a lot of people that hate you, what do you say? Get the fuck away. Get out of there. Get the hell out of there. And they tried canceling him, and they did. They canceled his cartoon, took away his revenue stream, because he was saying, if you live around a lot of black people, you should leave, is what Scott Adams said. Something along those lines. But the point he was making is that there is a large segment of society, and you saw it in 2020, because George Floyd overdosed, or he was killed by Derek Chauvin, however you saw that tape, however you interpreted that autopsy. By the way, if you haven't watched the full video of that, That gentleman was having problems hyperventilating or overdosing from the minute the cop got there, elevated heart rate. Maybe he had a heart attack, some people say. Maybe when they pause the video and see that big lump of white stuff on his tongue, maybe he ingested the lethal amount of fentanyl that ended his life prematurely, and Chauvin got blamed for putting his knee on the shoulder, neck, back area that didn't look good, but it also didn't break his neck. It didn't choke him out. It didn't asphyxiate him. I think there were multiple autopsy attempts until they got the right one so that they could sacrifice this Chauvin to stop the mobs from burning America down, because the mobs are being funded and spurred on by the lying legacy media, pushing the Obama doctrine of division for political gain and financial gain in the Democrat Party. And it's sad. We didn't get that for Kelly Thomas, the white guy that was calling out for his father. There's audio to this. You can see the pool of blood expand as he's beaten to the cop. Was it Ramos and Campione put on their latex gloves before they beat him to death? Two Latinos beating a white guy with some schizophrenia issues. Wasn't being violent, wasn't stealing shit, he wasn't even in the act of stealing a car, running with a gun, nothing to like mitigating factors in the moment that led to his demise. Calling out for help from his dad as those cries got softer and softer and quieter. They beat him to death and the nation didn't burn for that. The GOP, the Republicans, didn't turn that into a race issue. They could have. They didn't. Or maybe they couldn't have, because that energy just isn't there. But the Democrats know that energy is there, and they exploit it every chance they get. And that is the biggest reason why you have to vote against the Democrats forever. They have lost the consent of the governed. They're pushing destruction with every policy they make, and they have no qualms about using certain segments of society as pawns. Transgender, women, ladies, Latinos, blacks, Asian, anything. I guess with them, anything as long as it's anti-white, anti-male, anti-Christian, anti-straight. And by the way, as a straight white Christian male, it's been increasingly frustrating to watch this happen, because it's all unnecessary. It's also patently obvious what they're doing for monetary and political gain. And it's been so frustrating. Watch the feeble and feckless GOP not stand up to it and reverse course, call it out for what it is, and stop it. Is that because they're scared? They're bribed? They're blackmailed? Because there is that white savior complex from the liberals. Malcolm X talks about, what does he say? There's nothing more dangerous than the white liberal. You know, it's just like, oh, we have to hurry up and rush to claim victimhood status too. Everybody needs a piece of the victimhood pie. It's like, no, what we all need as Americans, as humans, is a fighting chance to make something of ourselves and go out and make good decisions and live a great life. And that gets easier to do when your money isn't being stolen, thrown on a credit card to raise inflation to the point where it's too expensive to buy food or keep shelter over your head. Okay? Cool as a rule, but bad exists. Absolutely. Vibe alert. I know. But I can't cover this topic without covering it. I mean, Scott Adams they tried to destroy him for saying, if you're living around people that have been absorbing this stuff, it turns normal people angry and violent toward you. And if you're in a community that's been brainwashed by the schools, the media, and the Democrat Party to hate you, maybe you should get the hell out of there while you still can. Oh, I definitely had some of those vibes living in the hood in Los Angeles, but mostly I kept most of that shit to myself. We had problems with a tall, skinny white guy. A lot of problems. Maybe the most problems was a tall, skinny white guy. Later found out he was Latino. Apparently, according to his name, when we figured that out from the criminal arrest records, multiple arrest records, because they kept arresting the same people and putting them back into this community instead of protecting the community. I mostly kept my head down and just I didn't care about any of that nonsense. I just wanted to make things better. I wanted the pipes working. I wanted the roof dry. I wanted the potholes filled in. I wanted the landscaping and the irrigation fixed so they were green lawns, freshly painted buildings, mailboxes that you wouldn't cut your hand on, rusty old bent contraptions, put new mailboxes up, renovated all the laundry rooms so it was like a fresh, bright, inviting place to be instead of something like inside of Alcatraz. Society needs people that are going to go and make things better. And the stuff in South Africa, man, it's
But we're starting with this whiteness. We're cutting the throat of whiteness.
They're cutting the throat of whiteness.
Shoot to kill. Yamaza. Kill the Pua. The Pharma. Kill the Pua.
All right, vibe alert. This is the video. Each cross represents a white farmer murdered in South Africa in 2018 and 2020. All these white crosses were murdered white farmers. Genocide in South Africa. It's all over the news. Elon Musk is South Africa. President Trump is working to bring some farmers over. These farmers wave American flags and smile. They have kids and women. They're not just military-age men. It looks like a foreign invasion. These are real people that no longer exist because of this doctrine. It's racist, anti-white doctrine. Global phenomenon. Let it go, line in the road. It's all family, that's good. All right, vibe alert. No, I know. It's just there's a lot to unpack here. I'll get into it more hopefully when I book John B. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene talking with Representative Dan Goldman. Actually, it's a long clip. I'm going to skip past this one. But yeah, Representative Dan Goldman has a meltdown about this.
According to the Attorney General of the United States, she posted that the evidence shows Kilmar Abrego Garcia has repeatedly been identified as a member of MS-13 by a Maryland County Police Gang unit, which I introduced for the record, a reliable confidential informant, ICE officers, an immigration judge agreed, and an appellate board agreed.
So you have, is that a court order? Well, I object.
No, she can put anything she wants in the record. She's not complying to your request, Mr. Goldman.
She asked for unanimous consent.
Okay, so you're objecting to her putting that into the record?
I am objecting subject.
Yeah, I'm going to skip it because of those audio clipping issues. That was actually our comment. Fix the damned audio. The comment here. I wish these people would fight for Americans like they do for illegals. Anyway, you get the point. Here you go. Senator and healthcare exec get into a heated debate over U.S. pharmaceutical costs. During a Senate Judiciary hearing on Capitol Hill, Senator Josh Hawley and the president of the Pharmaceutical Care Management Association, the largest trade group representing pharmacy benefit managers, PBMs. You'll hear PBMs. These are pharmacy benefit managers, middlemen, adding extra cost unnecessarily to the process. They clash over the soaring cost of prescription drugs and the role that PBMs play in driving prices higher for American consumers. This site is called Real News, No Bullshit. It continues, some shit you should know. If you're unaware, a PBM is basically the middleman between your health insurance company, drug manufacturers, and pharmacies. PBMs are supposed to help lower drug costs by negotiating prices and deciding which medications your insurance covers. They create lists of approved drugs called formularies, manage prescription drug plans, and often run their own mail order pharmacies. Despite this, critics say PBMs are screwing people and using their power to make deals that benefit themselves, like getting big discounts from drug companies, but not passing those savings on to the customer. Notably, the three largest PBMs control 80% of the prescription drug market and are owned by major healthcare companies, which some say now makes them monopolies. In their back and forth, Senator Hawley called for a law that would ban PBMs from acquiring or being owned by insurance companies and pharmacies, arguing that this kind of vertical integration creates a monopoly in the prescription drug market. He was also pissed at the growing trend of PBMs consolidating control over every part of the drug supply chain, from negotiating prices with manufacturers to dispensing drugs through their own pharmacy networks, which wipes out smaller pharmacies. When asked if PBMs were helping lower drug prices for consumers, PCMA President J.C. Scott defended the role of the pharmacy benefit managers, claiming they help control costs by negotiating rebates and managing formularies. He argued that PBMs act as a counterweight to high prices set by drug manufacturers and said their efforts save the healthcare system billions of dollars annually. Well, on that last point, they claiming they control costs by negotiating rebates, arguing they act as a counterweight to the high prices set by drug manufacturers, and say that their efforts save healthcare systems billions of dollars annually in the healthcare system. I don't know. On a first glance, that kind of sounds to me like when you go to Kohl's and you're like, oh, here's a $60 shirt. Kohl's is selling it for $29.99. What a deal. That was the manufacturer's suggested retail price. They could suggest $699 for all they care. Nobody's paying that. It's a fake price. You go to a car lot. Well, the MSRP is this, but let's see if we can get you a better deal. They're fake prices from the jump. They're fake prices from the beginning. They're not, we negotiated that price down. That was never a real price. Well, they set that price. They have the right to set that price. $1,300 for prescription. What are we doing? Nobody, come on. What are we doing? Anyway, let's listen to a little bit of this. Fighting to expose the problems with our healthcare system.
We can have competition. We can leverage that to address that cost challenge that we have.
I'm glad you say we need competition,
And
because
second-
don't you think the competition we really need is to break up this alliance between insurance companies and PBMs?
No, sir.
The biggest three PBMs are owned by the biggest insurance companies. You're like one huge, giant pharma industry.
Monopoly.
A giant pharma series of monopolists, right? Why is it a good idea for the biggest
Did you just say Milo Yiannopoulos?
PBMs to be owned by the biggest insurers, and now you're buying up pharmacies as well? Why should we allow that? Why should insurance companies, PBMs, also own pharmacies?
So
How is that good for patients?
It's good for patients and for plans because it's creating optionality in the market.
It's creating optionality. In the state of Missouri, just last year, we lost 73 independent pharmacies across my state in 19 different counties. Do you know that 2 entire counties in the state of Missouri now have, wait for it, 0 pharmacies? Zero. Now, you are making $7.3 billion, you and the companies that you represent, and yet 2 whole counties in the state of Missouri have no pharmacies, 73 closed last year. Why shouldn't we be breaking you guys up? I mean, this looks like classic monopolist behavior. The patients are getting screwed. Missourians are getting screwed. You're getting rich.
Respectfully, Senator, you keep citing a gross revenue number of the drug every dollar spent on prescription
You're not making,
drugs.
you don't have profits?
Profits are in the low single digits on
Your
average
profits
for
are
our
not
industry.
better than they've ever been?
I don't know on the trend over the years.
Yes, you
but
do. You
they
know
were
exactly. It
the
is all laid out in the FTC report. You absolutely know the answer. Your profits have increased and increased and increased, and now you are buying up pharmacies, and you're buying up pharmacies and you're putting independent pharmacies out of business, and you're doing it deliberately because you are giving special rebates and lower costs to the pharmacies that you own, and you are directing patients to the pharmacies that you own, such that if they don't go to a pharmacy that you own, they have to pay higher costs, they have to pay out-of-network costs, right? You're nodding your head, Dr. McGuire. You've lived this, right?
I have lived this. I live it every day. Yes, that's exactly what's happening.
Here's the benefit design. The design of the plan benefits the insurance companies and you. It does not benefit the patients. Patients are getting screwed, if I may. We are paying 2, 3, 4 times more for drugs. People in my state can't afford insulin.
Insane.
They can't afford the most basic drugs. That's when they have plans that are managed by you. And you guys are getting rich off of it. I mean,
we've got to get rid of these healthcare plans. We just got to provide a product and find it. Like, this is all so many levels of stupid. We should have a decent healthcare system in the country, and you can't get a decent healthcare system in the country if you import 30 million people that aren't paying into the system. You can't have it both ways, Democrats. You cannot have it both ways. You just can't. In all of these games, in all of this madness, there has got to be a better way. Maybe Elon can design a healthcare system. You can design all these other things. If you're going to go through and rewire Doge for everything that's happening with our expenditures in government, can't you go in and figure out a better way to do healthcare? Mark Cuban's been doing it with he's doing a pharmacy thing. I'm not super familiar, but I think he's getting decent reviews on it. Just make it affordable for people to live. People can't, like, it's just, you can't get blood from a stone. Yeah, it does feel like they're all working together, doesn't it? Nice little monopoly, David. Nice little monopoly.
Absolutely filthy rich. The FTC's report, so this is the government report now, found that the top 3 PBM companies generated $7.3 billion in profits between 2017 and 2022. $7.3 billion.
The more we can have competition, we can leverage that to address that cost challenge that we have.
I'm glad you say we need competition,
And
because
second,
don't you think the competition...
Oh, he opened up the door on that one with competition. Here's liberals watching Trump win trade wars, make peace deals, and lower inflation. There you go. Those are better vibes, Kenneth. Kenneth, I appreciate good vibes too. And please, Kenneth, I welcome you to always type vibe check. There are topics I try not to get into because it upsets me. It becomes life and death. It makes me angry. I feel personally targeted. And yeah, flip the story around. Imagine being a black woman in America and you've been told your entire life it's an unfair system. It's rigged against you. By the way, non-stop reminders about things that happened 100 years ago and 200 years ago and 300 years ago. Non-stop. Way less focus on here we are today. Look at the laws we have where we're all equal. Look at this. Look at the starting place that we have now. It's the best starting place in American history. Infinite potential. If we make some great decisions, we can crush. No. It's all rear view mirror shit. Looking in that rear view mirror, looking in the side mirrors, and looking behind me. Except when there's a George Floyd situation. Non-stop flashing rage. That stuff gets to me, man, because it doesn't have to be that way. But the Democrats that push this stuff can't be rewarded with more power and control and funding. They have to be punished for it. They have to be removed from office. They have to be voted out, indicted for their treasonous acts. I don't like talking about the South Africa issue, although I did just hear back from the producer. We're going to get one of my favorite guests back on the program. I used to have him on all the time back when he was the one of my favorite hosts of Coast to Coast AM, Mr. John B. Wells. John B. Wells married to a nice lady who I'm communicating with of South African descent. I've heard him talk on his Caravan to Midnight show about this issue in particular. But I'm telling you, when it comes to like good and evil, demonic stuff, and just butchery and invasions and war and this new world order where humanity is just a joke and only there to be abused and taken advantage of, it riles me up, and the vibes can get a little, I can get a little intense. I know. I get intense about these things, and the vibes might change based on the content I'm covering because it impacts me. It resonates. It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be like this. You know, I had the experience to foster a young man, or temporarily serve as a legal guardian, however you want to, whatever that technicality or whatever that technically means. I got to bring a young man into my home for about half a year so that the system could work in a way so that he could return to the custody of his family. I think that's how I want to say that. I was in Los Angeles, and I went from 0 to 10-year-old like that. And this is when was that? 2016, 2017? And there's a lot, it was all anti-Trump. Like, let's gin up the racist angle as much as we can. And I'm just like head in my hands. Just why is all the attention on this instead of, we can wax poetic about the cable companies in our region, or we could look at the 10 items in our neighborhood and go, all right, let's paint the building, replace the roof, fix the landscaping, add some more seed, plant some more flowers, repair the water line. Like, we could do the things that need to be done, or we could just wax poetic and gripe about things all day. And so I told this young man, young black man, 10-year-old boy, young man. I'm just like, buddy, I don't understand why this issue is so hyper fixated on, because it's detrimental to you. You're in America, bro. You got a good chance if you want it. I hope you succeed, and most people really hope you succeed, and that you succeed by making wise choices. So please make good choices and crush it. Don't get caught up in this doomer porn, this apocalyptic, nothing will ever work mentality. Because if you buy into that, that's poison. If you buy into that stuff, it'll rot you from the inside out. Don't swallow it. Don't drink it. Focus on you. Focus on leveling up your skill set and becoming successful in this country. Don't make excuses. Don't point fingers. Don't blame shit that happened to people that weren't you by other people that weren't you to get mad at other people that didn't do anything. It is toxic. Please don't consume that. And I know it's all around you at school and peer groups and etc. But please, man, I want you to succeed. And most of society wants you to succeed, except for the Democrats, the educators, and the lying legacy media that want to use you as a pawn. So yeah, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. Here are liberals watching Trump win trade wars, make peace deals, and lower inflation. These are better vibes. I got to mute the music. I can't watch. Liberals can't watch Trump win trade wars, make peace deals, and lower inflation. That's what it looks like. The Democrats can't give Trump a win on anything, to their own detriment. I saw a representative, who was it, Ro Khanna, though? He was coming out in favor of, what was that story? I shared that. Something common sense that he's going to support. Lowering prescription drug prices, maybe. It's like, just take the win, take the W, and move along. Right Angle News Network says, Democrats are now promising to deport every single white South African refugee President Trump welcomes into the United States if they win in 23. And we're asking, is this real life? Is this like satire? I'm actually going to ask that. Is this a satire post? Democrats couldn't possibly believe this. But just to put a finer point on the Scott Adams part of that story is that It's created a very dangerous situation when people have been fed this much poison. RFK is saying it about the food supply. Well, it should be said about the health crisis of the mental illness of Trump derangement syndrome and anti-white hatred, anti-male hatred, anti-Republican hatred, anti-Christian hatred. It is massive. And it seems to be, like David said, what did David say? Not they're all working together. We are the planet. No, what did David say? Vibes, totally vibes, sadness. There you go. Division is their only tactic. And the school systems need to be revamped completely because they are pushing this divisive nonsense in schools. I talked to this dude, the young man that I fostered. What'd you do in school? 5th grade. What'd you do today? He's like, this and that. What else? We read Dr. Seuss. Like, oh, you read Dr. Seuss. Cool. 5th grade. Isn't that a little okay? What did you read? Oh, we didn't read. We read about Dr. Seuss. I'm like, what books did you read? Oh, we didn't read any books. We read an article about Dr. Seuss. What? He's an author. Why are you not reading his books? Like, what do you mean? Oh, we read an article about how Dr. Seuss is a racist. Yeah, that's what you're doing in school. Really? Okay. Another day. What'd you do in school today? Oh, we had a walkout. Huh? We had a walkout. We walk out? We had a walk. You walked out of what? We walked out of class. Like the whole school walked out. What? Like a mass protest? Like what? Yeah, we walked out for gun violence. Huh? The teachers are training these kids to be little obedient social justice warriors. Division, division, division. Everybody hates you. Everybody hates you. Everybody hates you. They don't. They hate your divisive racial bullshit. That's what people hate. But they're feeding them poison. They're spoon feeding them poison every day. Eat some more poison. They're not walking out against your own Second Amendment rights to keep and bear arms to defend yourself and your country. Poisoning these kids mentally to turn them into radical activists. And it's starting early in the schools, in elementary schools. It's such an eye-opener for me, and it's so sad. So much unnecessary suffering and brain damage to the people that suffer from the mental. It's abuse. It's abusive behavior. So it gets me fired up. My vibes go off because of it. So much mental illness. A sane man walks alone. I walk the line. That's why I only watch comedies. Yeah, man, I sort of do the same. I had some friends, the Dr. Seuss excuse. Hashtag Seuss excuse. Yeah, I had friends growing up would like to watch horror movies and stuff. I'm like, it's not my vibe. I don't want to go sleep with nightmares and have just weird, all sorts of fucked up shit going on in my head. I don't want that playing on repeat when I'm not thinking about it. I want to laugh. Laughter and orgasms are the two best feelings. Although, if I ever orgasmed while laughing, the universe might implode at that one. Anyway, Marjorie Taylor Greene here.
Administration has committed to reuniting unaccompanied alien children lost or trafficked under the Biden-Harris administration back to their families and guardians. What efforts is DHS taking to ensure that these vulnerable children are safely reunited with their loved ones? Because the Biden administration lost hundreds of thousands of children.
Yes,
absolutely. We know that there was upwards to over 300,000 children that were lost during the last administration. So President Trump has made it a priority.
I'm going to say, well,
authority of every cabinet secretary and agency to make sure those children are located, that they are returned to safety. As you know, the refugee program and sponsors were greatly abused under the previous administration, and the Department of HHS is bringing some integrity back to that program and making sure that these children are cared for appropriately, and that someone is watching over them that truly has their best interests at heart, that really truly cares for them as a family member. I would say over 5,000 have been found, and our HSI individuals and law enforcement officers are continuing to identify them.
Gentlelady's time has expired.
So the Trump administration.
They say Marjorie Taylor Greene says Democrats are the party of child sex and human trafficking. In just 4 years, Joe Biden lost hundreds of thousands of migrant children. I'm so glad President Trump has made it a priority of his administration to find these vulnerable children. It says vulnerable children, and safely reunite them with their loved ones. We said lost is a very generous term for vile human trafficking for sadistic and possibly satanic purposes. So glad Trump is back. God save the children. Indeed. Release the Epstein files. Thank you, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Imagine being... Is this in the middle of the screen? Yeah, that still works. Okay, good. Law and order, baby. It's just sick that there are so many missing children. Vote all the Democrats out. Indict the worst of them. Destroy that party. Defund them of any dollar. Don't ever support these people. They are the worst of the worst. These political leaders that have a D next to their name. Name me 5 policies they peddle that help you. Name me. Bodily autonomy. We got to be able to kill our kids in our bellies. Fuck's sake. Really, that's the major thing in your life, lady? That's why you're going to vote for a Democrat party that does every evil thing you could imagine? Because you demand unlimited access to slicing and dicing your children. That's the most important thing in your life. You could make decisions where you're not having sex that doesn't create unwanted children. Is that possible? Use condoms or birth control pills, or you could try things to not put yourself in those promiscuous situations that result in that. Maybe we'd have fewer aborted humans, and maybe our population would be rising instead of shrinking. Oh, we're not overpopulated. We have a population replacement problem in America because of so many of the ladies. Ladies have taken over the Democrat Party. Men have taken over the Republican Party. Fewer ladies are having children. More ladies are killing their kids. Lower birth rate in America. So if the reason we're importing 30 million people is totally part of a plan that's a little uncomfortable to talk about, I want all of the cards turned up and I want to talk about it. And no, you don't ever import people unless they've received a full criminal background check, a full background check. I believe that's the biggest difference between Trump bringing in 59 people who want to come in and contribute with their families, and they've undergone a full screening and background check. And they're embracing America, waving American flags. They want to be a part of Team America, compared to people that you didn't run a background check on during the COVID hypocrisy. Massive, violent criminal rap sheets coming in and bringing their poison to our communities, who want to wave their flag, a Palestinian flag, a Somali flag, a Mexican flag, a Venezuelan flag. They're trying to colonize a little piece of America and turn it into wherever they came from. I don't want any of that. If you come here, I want you to assimilate and become a part of here. Whether you're from South Africa, Sweden, Israel, Palestine, Venezuela, Nicaragua, El Salvador, I don't give a shit where you're coming from. But I don't want you here if you've got a violent criminal past and if you're not willing to assimilate, no matter what you look like. If you're German, if you're Moroccan, doesn't matter. You need to be assimilating. Bo Loudon here putting this up. Imagine being 78 years old. I got to mute the music. Why? Imagine being 78 years old, having built one of the most successful businesses ever, hosting a legendary reality show, being president, having an election stolen, being indicted, arrested, and even shot, and ending up here, bringing world peace. I'm going to add set to the soundtrack of YMCA, no less. LOL. That's so crazy. What an interesting timeline we live on. Clandestine putting this out saying Iranian. Did I change the screen size? So this is like rumblings. I don't know if this is. Oh, NBC News is reporting this. Hold on. Let me click to NBC News. I do actually trust some of the lying legacy media companies for certain brass tacks things, reporting like this leader said this thing at this meeting at this time. It's where they make their interpretations that they completely lose me, and they should lose you, and they should lose you too. Top Iranian official says Tehran would forego highly enriched uranium in a nuclear deal with Trump. Okay. Well, that's based on something now, isn't it? I just like to double check and confirm those things. Where's my page that I was just using? There we go. So, according to Clandestine, Iranian officials say they're willing to sign a nuclear deal with Trump in exchange for lifting economic sanctions. Shamkhani, I don't know who Shamkhani is. Shamkhani says that Iran will commit to never making nuclear weapons and getting rid of their stockpiles. This development coming while Trump is in Qatar. It's Qatar! While Trump is in Qatar and Putin is in Iran, it's not an accident. Putin is in Iran. Russians in Afghanistan, Wheel of Fortune, Sally Ride, heavy metal, suicide, homelessness, hypodermics on the shore, China's under martial law, rock and roll, cola wars, I can't take it anymore. Sorry. Russians in Afghanistan. This development is coming while Trump is in Qatar, and Putin is in Iran. It's not an accident. I'd be willing to bet anything that there are some secret meetings going on and lots of negotiations we as the public are unaware of. All these leaders are in such a close proximity, and it appears as though some deals are being made. The Trump wants war with Iran narrative is about to go up in flames, and Trump might be bringing peace to the Middle East. Huge! Oh, that would go against Bibi. Cue the people saying, well, is Bibi going to stage another false flag and blame it on Iran then? What say you? Peter Navarro, who we filmed being interviewed the day that he was released from prison in Milwaukee at the GOP convention. It's on our YouTube and Rumble channel. The same Democrats who sent me to prison and insisted nobody is above the law now want to protect Democratic congressmen who illegally stormed an ICE facility to protect illegal alien murderers, rapists, and thieves? American voters will have the last say. Toria Brooks says top advisor says Iran is ready to sign conditional nuclear deal with President Trump in exchange for lifting economic sanctions. Quoting, all right, NBC News again. Richard Engel reporting, Iran would commit to never making nuclear weapons, getting rid of its stockpiles of highly enriched uranium, which can be weaponized, and agree to only enrich uranium to the lower levels needed for civilian use. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard reportedly fired 2 top officials at the National Intelligence Council, NIC, after the agency produced an assessment that contradicted the Trump administration's claims that President Maduro is directing the Tren de Aragua gang. All right. So Tulsi and National Intelligence is saying Maduro is directing Tren de Aragua. 2 top officials at NIC produced an assessment contradicting that. You fired. Breaking. United Health is under criminal investigation by the Department of Justice for potential Medicare fraud. just months after CEO Brian Thompson was killed in NYC. Thompson was fatally shot in December of 24 while walking to the hotel where United Health Group was holding its investors conference. That, according to Live from America TV. Is there a second part to this? Okay, there is. If somebody wants to do something, so many of you, Tim Tebow says, so many of you have been asking how you can help the hundreds of thousands of children we know are being sexually abused and whose images are seen and shared online every day. How fucking gross. One of the most important ways you can make a difference right now is by urging Congress to co-sponsor the Renewed Hope Act. We can make it easy for you to message your representatives, which moves the needle in this fight. All right, the Renewed Hope Act. You might be wondering, what will this actually change? What difference do we pray the Renewed Hope Act will make? To sum it up, it will build a stronger rescue team with more people, more resources, and the training they need to reach more kids and faster. Here's how. Hiring 200 new investigators and experts for the Child Exploitation Unit. Bringing in temporary specialists to help identify and locate victims. Expanding advanced training for law enforcement across all levels. Every minute, 70 pieces of child SA materials are traded online. This isn't about politics. It's about protecting kids. And together we can do something about it. All right. Well, here, I'll just say protect the kids button. You know, I leave all these and then people start liking and they'll reply and it boosts the algorithm. You know, I got 1,000 people follow me and my story was seen by 3 people. That's how much Meta cares. Meta cares. Tim Tebow is a great Christian. Seems like a great guy, which is why the left hated him, why ESPN destroyed his career, because they're ABC, ESPN, Disney, a demonic deep state Democrat mouthpiece organ. This is why I've never tried to get jobs at these places. Like, they dig up this archive footage and go, well, you said this about them. I go, well, you did that to them. What did you want me to say about that? You did that, not me. I'm just articulating that it's raining. You can't blame me for the weather. I'm just giving you the weather report. David saying that potential Iranian deal of peace might piss off Israel. I mean, overheard at the nightclub. Yo, that's a nice Qatar riff, man. Thanks, but it's actually a Qatar riff. Qatar, not Qatar. Like guitar. Like Qatar. Like gutter. Which is where the Democrat policies leave us if we go there. Too soon? No, not too soon. All right. I'll keep it on this profile. Yeah, here you go. Just in, according to official Doge. I don't know if this is official, but whatever. Only 246,000 followers. But Senator Tom Tillis is reportedly opposing President Trump's executive order lowering prescription drug prices by 30 to 80%. Is this supporting the American people? This cannot be real. If so, this Tillis needs to be recalled immediately. This cannot be true was our comment, right? Breaking news, according to Election Wizard here. This is good news. I mean, it's bad, but Austin police have arrested a 17-year-old named Eloy Adrian Camarillo, one of 4 suspects for the capital murder of InfoWars reporter Jamie White. White was fatally shot confronting burglars at his apartment complex, police say. Bond is only set at $250,000? Why is the bond only set for $250,000? This dude should be held without bail. Was he legally in America or not? Attempted to stop 4 suspects burglarizing his car in his apartment complex parking lot. Keep our eyes peeled on this story. Prayers to Family of Jamie White. Senator Brian Dahl says last November, I didn't click that. Last November, voters overwhelmingly approved Prop 36 to hold criminals accountable. Today, Gavin Newsom's budget didn't give one single penny to it. Instead of protecting Californians, he'd rather force taxpayers to pay over $10 billion annually in healthcare costs for illegal immigrants. Not a good look for this presidential hopeful. Andy Zavala says the governor has now been asked about Prop 35 and 36 funding. Newsom defended administration's approach to Prop 35 and notes Prop 36 crime measure was unfunded. He's the one that unfunded it. What a dirt bag button. He's not a presidential hopeful. Nobody's voting him in. Hey, you heard it here first. Senator Jim Banks says J.D. Vance will be the nominee in 2028. Mark my words. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I got a hunch Rubio's under consideration, and secretaries of state are often considered. You want to hear some reaction to how people felt about President Trump going to the Middle East to try to broker peace instead of nonstop forever wars?
Another hour, I could have sat there. The way he did it, the tone of his voice, and the points that he chose. I mean, if you want from a point of social, you want a point from political, you want a point from business, you want a point from defense, you want a point from technology. He covered all those and just did it in such a elegant way.
Truth is that he obviously cares about peace around the world, and he spent his entire 4 or 5 months of his administration sending his emissaries around the world to create peace deals.
He's the statesman that America needs. He's the statesman that the world needs. Yeah, it's so sad that other countries show more respect than our own citizens do. It's embarrassing. Oh, this was the guy I was telling you about. Anna Paulina Luna put this out. Check this out. I will give roses to Bill Maher when he finally speaks sense. I will give roses to Ro Khanna when he finally makes sense.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today.
This is Ro Khanna, I believe.
To introduce as legislation President Trump's executive order for the most favored nation status on drug pricing.
Yes.
My legislation will codify President Trump's executive order, which basically says that Americans should not pay more for drugs than people in other countries and other parts of the world. Right now, we're paying 2 to 3 times more for our drugs than people in other industrialized nations. Now, this executive order, codified by the legislation, will allow our cabinet secretaries to put pressure on Big Pharma and make sure that they are not price gouging, and will allow for the importation of cheaper drugs. So you ask, why do we need the legislation? Because the reality is that Big Pharma will sue for the executive order like they did in the previous Trump administration. And in the previous administration, they managed to kill the executive order. The only way we can stand up to Big Pharma is to codify in legislation what the president wants to do in an executive order. So here's the deal. If I can cross the aisle and support President Trump's executive order in legislation, every Republican should be willing to cross the aisle and support my legislation. It's a pretty simple test. Are we going to stand in this body with the $16 billion that Big Pharma spent on lobbying, or are we going to stand with the American people? We will know that answer based on how many co-sponsors we get for my legislation that simply codifies Donald Trump's executive order. Mr. Speaker,
I agree with all but 3 things he said there. And those 3 things are when he said codify instead of codify. Representative Anna Paulina Luna, one of the superstars in the GOP, says, I'm all for reaching across the aisle when it puts Americans first. If Democrats are stepping up to codify Trump's agenda because Republicans won't, I'll back them, especially when it means taking on Big Pharma. And we put in the comments, good. Now modify the... I typed codify. I actually have to retype this. I got it. Instagram doesn't let you edit what you type. You have to delete it and repost it. Modify, I said codify, which is codify. I think both are acceptable, but put it into code means code, iffy. The code is iffy. All right. Let me pivot. Didn't I have this queued up to where I was going to be? Premium. Profile. Where are we at? I got to scroll back. We're going to do our buzz through X. Got to find my post. Was all of this since yesterday? Man, we had a lot of stuff going on, but we'll buzz through these. So now they know that in advance. Nice. Yes, we do need peace. I like that picture of me pensively thinking. I don't know why it's not playing. It was showing it offline. Okay. Let's go through it. I covered that yesterday, covered that yesterday, covered that yesterday, covered that yesterday. Who is saying this? Border Patrol agents working and being supported by the greatest border president in American history. Who is this guy? One of the most shocking testimonies in United States history. What's his name? Does he say it in the beginning? Hold on.
I state without reservation that the United States federal government is the world's largest child sex trafficking organization in modern history.
Gross.
The probability.
Who would have thought the creep that raised Hunter Biden, showered inappropriately with his daughter Ashley, allegedly, and constantly touches and sniffs women and children to the point where it creeps them out of their skin? Who would have thought that that guy would have been responsible for opening up the border so hundreds of thousands of kids could end up in the hands of absolute monsters? Who would have thought?
That thousands of these UACs are being raped at this very moment is 100%. Chairman Higgins, Ranking Member Correa, Chairman Bishop, Ranking Member Ivey, and the members of the subcommittee, I appreciate the opportunity to speak about the evil of child trafficking caused by the open border policies under President Joe Biden and his administration.
It's a 4-minute clip. Please watch it. I don't know. I don't see this guy's name. I'm not quite getting the context, but that's a bold claim. And is it really all that far off from what you know to be true? It's not. Sadly, it's not. But check it out. We're just asking, is it go time yet? We've been yelling about this for years and years now. Minneapolis, according to 5ABC, KSTP.com, Eyewitness News, Minneapolis and state leaders are preparing for a possible Derek Chauvin pardon. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, I strongly support Derek Chauvin being pardoned and released from prison. George Floyd died of a drug overdose. And we're asking, do you agree or disagree with MTG? So there's a good question. David, Kenneth, anybody else out there watching who hasn't commented yet? Do you agree or disagree with Marjorie Taylor Greene that Derek Chauvin should receive a pardon? Because George Floyd died of a drug overdose. And if you say no, I'm just going to ask, did you watch the full video where he was hyperventilating and freaking out from the moment he was confronted, when he was arrested, when he was taken to the car, put in the back seat of the car, and all was done, except that he squirmed out the other door that wasn't closed, and it led to that final scene. All that a lot of people saw was that, oh my God, a cop just crushed that guy's neck he just ended that guy. It looked bad. But if you say no, he shouldn't get a pardon, did you watch the full video? Kenneth agrees. David agrees. That is the question I'm asking everybody out there. Do you agree or disagree with Marjorie Taylor Greene that George Floyd died of a drug overdose and Derek Chauvin should be pardoned? I'd like a little bit of clarification on how many autopsies were performed by who. I'd like a little bit of clarification as to what, there's a whole list of Minneapolis police officers who have testified that said, you taught us to put the knee in this area and to restrain a person that's out of control. You taught us to do the thing that you're throwing me into a cage for doing. If you don't want us to do it, don't teach it. Well, now, what I have called for, don't put words in my mouth. What I've called for is a new policy to hog tie somebody that's doing what George Floyd was doing. You can't get arrested. You squirm out of the custody. You escape from the back of the cop car. You're placed in the left door. You wiggle your way out to the right door, I believe. Instead of putting a knee on the shoulder, neck, upper back area, why not just handcuff the ankles and then handcuff the wrists to the ankles and then leash that person underneath the tire of the cop car and let them tire themselves out like in a Rocky movie. Let your opponent tire himself out. When he's done, we'll deal with him then. Fighting and flopping and moving and escaping and all that stuff. Because he didn't want to go back. He didn't want to go back. He's claustrophobic. He can't breathe. There was all sorts of stuff. This guy was like, he was in a very agitated mindset. He didn't want to get arrested again. He didn't want to go back in jail. Didn't want to sit in the back of a cop car. Didn't want to be handcuffed. Well, you kind of forfeited that when you're stealing from the store. You're handing them fake money and it's all a thing. Maybe it's just a little thing, but that whole interaction gave me zero evidence to think that Derek Chauvin wanted to end the life of this man. Oh, he was hunted for the color of his skin. No, he wasn't. He was a guy that just robbed the store because he paid with fake money, and he was getting arrested. That other stuff was all on Floyd. Such a dark chapter in our history. But anyway, do you agree or disagree with Derek Chauvin's pardon and release from prison? Because they tried to kill him in prison. Don't forget. This guy's had his life ruined. He's definitely paid how many? Actually, I got to find out because that's part of the story. How many times was Derek Chauvin stabbed? What is his current medical condition? He was stabbed 22 times. That Carmelo killer at the track meet, 1 stab, 1 death. They pinataed this dude. They punctured him 22 times. Federal prison in Tucson, Arizona. Federal prison. Couldn't even protect him there. You know he's target number 1, and you can't even keep him. Come on, stop. You can't even keep him safe. So it's a death sentence to keep him in there. For what? For doing his job? The video looked bad. But I would like a little bit of clarification because I have arguments, conversations with some of my libertarian buddies. Oh, and they swear up and down, nope, there was 1 autopsy and it just proved that he was something about Chauvin's actions caused that death. And I'm like, I believe there's like 2 or 3 or 4 autopsies. Actually, I'm going to ask that question because Chauvin was transferred to Federal Correctional Institution in Big Spring, Texas in August 24. No further updates. Will Chauvin be pardoned and released? Because there's state crimes and federal crimes involved here. There's speculation. Ben Shapiro's pushing it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, online petitions, significant support. Trump stated in March 25 he hadn't heard of any requests for a Chauvin pardon. Even if a federal pardon were granted, it would only apply to Chauvin's 21-year federal sentence for violating George Floyd's civil rights, not his 22.5-year sentence, state sentence for second-degree murder, which runs concurrently. Governor Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison emphasized that a federal pardon would not result in Chauvin's release, as he would still serve his state sentence in a Minnesota prison. Lots of rumors about this, though. Okay. I guess I got to switch to this size. It doesn't work this way. It doesn't quite work that way. So I'll go that way. Mark Levin saying that apparently that Qatari plane that was donated has to be taken apart and put back together again. Well, yeah, the story is that the United States ordered a Boeing Air Force One, but it's going to take 10 years to get. I'm sorry, if you can't prioritize fucking Air Force One, what even are you, Boeing? What are you even doing? But yeah, I mean, for safety protocols, you got to take the whole thing apart and inspect it. But look, if you can take a Jeep apart and put it back together, you can do it with a plane. And you can inspect it to see if anything was hidden in there, like a Trojan horse or some remote control to take it in a nosedive. Mark Levin is, I don't know. I think he's a little salty that they're going for Iranian peace. Mark Levin is one of the biggest war hawks you've ever seen. Pro-Israel, pro-Zionist, pro-war, pro-anti-pro. Mark Levin has a very strong reputation as a neocon, as a war hawk. So just consider the source there. Brian Cates says America is about to discover that many of the stars created in Hollywood and in the music industry in the last 20 to 25 years are actual sexual perverts, rapists, and pedos. They were that before they were handpicked and elevated to being stars, and it's why they were picked. And it's just the tip of the iceberg. Crimes against humanity will unite people. Evil exists. The demon's in human form. It's time. Lord willing. James O'Keefe stating this man just filed a lawsuit against him and O'Keefe Media Group. So if anyone wants to contribute to defend James O'Keefe, there's his info on our X feed. This is where a top Pentagon advisor reveals on hidden camera that a couple of reveals on hidden camera a conversation with a couple of retired generals to explore what we can do to protect people from Trump. Confirming secret meetings regarding AI. This is sensitive information that we have to keep between us. Hiding stuff from the commander-in-chief. Oh, is this true? Dollar Store Obama is very, very upset that President Trump is slashing drug prices and Americans might not have to overpay for prescription meds? Is that really what this dude's about to do? But I've heard Dollar Store Obama referred to for Hakeem Jeffries, and now they're referring to Cory Booker as Dollar Store Obama. I'm not sure if that's like a singular person or just a black Democrat, or is it just those two, or is it a specific term or just a general term? Dollar Store Obama. It's kind of funny, but I don't know who it refers to. Here you go.
Spending bill. We know how to solve this problem.
Look at how fast he flips that page and gets so angry.
Spending bill.
This dude rehearsed this. Watch.
Spending bill. We know how to solve.
Thwick, thwap. Swish, thwap.
Spending bill. We know how to solve this.
It made a noise taking the glasses off of his head.
Spending bill. We know how to solve this problem. Inaction is complicity. There is nothing short of an evil going on in our country that is allowing millions of Americans to suffer under an unjust system that's hurting small business people with you that have a larger focus in life. Not only running your business, but helping rural communities. Again, I've been in your community, helping people get access to drugs, even when you deliver them in the middle of the night. This is wrong. This is unjust. This is violence. This is moral obscenity going on in our nation. We know the solutions. This committee has got to fix it. Spending bill.
I don't know. It didn't really give me much about context and exactly what he's saying there. Tim Pool here talking with, I guess this is a new one with, I'm sorry. Tim Pool shared this. This is the workout girl, Jillian Michaels. There we go. Take a listen to this. Talk about the importance of brainwashing.
I mean,
So I was saying, oh my God, they deported a Maryland man and a father, because that's what I was reading in the news.
Same.
And then you get into it and you're
Same.
like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, hold on. And then they released the dash cam footage, the police footage of when they arrested him. Not dash cam, whatever the cops are wearing.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. and
I thought the exact same thing.
It's crazy, but it's just like you can't just go on narratives, because these narratives are just designed to make the Trump administration look like monsters.
I was giving an interview to this woman from the New York Times, and she's like, "But don't you see this?" And I was like, "I do see it, and I don't understand it, and I wish it would be different." But but then you get into the lesser evils. I wrote her back, and I was like, "I don't agree with my previous position based on the current information available to me now."
Yeah, it seems like he was a gang member. But then there was that gay hairdresser that seems like he just got roped up.
I know, and what I have learned so far, because I've really been trying to get to the bottom of that one, because I don't understand why the left isn't leaning on that one.
Right.
The other guy beats his wife, suspected trafficker. You want to be outraged? This guy is a gay hairdresser. I guess he committed. I was listening to Tim Pool talk about this immigration fraud. So listen, that
but
guy's
that
a tough one.
He doesn't belong in an El Salvador prison.
I agree with you completely.
Also, he's not even from El Salvador, which is really crazy.
Now, okay, hold on. Here would be the argument there. I think, if I'm understanding it correctly, is that if somebody can be deported, but they are withheld because of asylum, correct me if I'm wrong here, because they worry going back to their home country is dangerous or deadly, like Kilmer Abrego Garcia.
Right.
Because he's not a gang member, but he's afraid of being killed by other gangs that aren't MS-13. You caught that one, right? Oh, boy. So it's like, I can't go home because the other gangs will kill me, but I'm not a gang member. Nevertheless, there's a deportation order on him, so I believe that they can just send him to a third country, and that's not illegal. That's something I heard.
Okay,
so
but just
the kid shouldn't go to it. You're right. Should not go
immigration
to a
fraud
freaking,
when you're a
no,
gay
you're
hairdresser.
right.
You don't throw him in a fucking concentration
You could
camp.
not be more right about that. But tell me then, why is the left not hanging there? Why is he not the poster child, that guy?
Yeah.
I don't really know about that guy very much. Maybe I'm not up to date on hairdressing stories. No, it's Jillian Michaels, not Jiggling Michaels. She keeps you fit. You're not jiggling. By the way, how you guys feeling? You feeling fit? You feeling good? Talking about Jillian Michaels. I've done her workouts. They are good workouts. Like I said, I'm in the middle of a fast, or I'm almost done with the fast. I don't know. I start kind of reaching a point. I'm like, I've gone this far. I don't even want to quit the fast now. But I was feeling a certain kind of way, not for particularly fantastic. And the fasting always helps me. I did just go get some salt for some electrolytes. Maybe I'll drink a electrolyte beverage later. Oh, wow. The salt really does bring out a lot of flavor in that coffee. Kenneth's feeling semi-fit. Good. But yeah, I encourage all of us to, David's, you got to eat something now, or you got to eat something every day. No medical advice, but I mean, fasting is a major part of religious traditions across all continents, various reasons. But they say, they talk a lot, don't they? Like after 72 hours, like your body breaks down, starts rebuilding and replacing cells and here, let me just put this on the screen because now I'm getting into this. For countervailing views on health and elections, go to the cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control websites. Don't ever take medical advice from anybody, even your doctor. Go so far as to not taking medical advice from me or anyone for that matter. Just throw darts, just guess. But yeah, for any of our loved ones, we want you to be healthy and fit, healthy and yeah, I've just been trying. Maybe it's because summer's here, maybe it's because of whatever, but definitely trying to take some steps, and literally taking steps. Sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the evening, sometimes midday, to go for some walks. To get 45 minutes in makes a big difference. Really helps you cycle through all the stuff in your digestive tract, and it firms up the muscles and just all that movement, decompression, and big fan of the walks. So if you're not going on walks, go get some walks, people. All right, let's continue on. Maryland man. This guy in this video from Wall Street Apes. They're saying this should infuriate every American. Here's an American doctor who goes undercover to buy the exact same antibiotic in America and in Mexico to show you the difference in cost. Want to know some absolute garbage? The drug name is Zifixin. Whatever. In America, the price for this drug is $1,454. Who's got $1,454 laying around for drugs, for prescription drugs? Who is doing that? Who's got $1,500? And it's all a fake system to bill the insurance company $1,500 so that they can send you an invoice and go, well, look, we took 85% off this. You only owe us $300. Yeah, but it's $24 in Mexico. You're robbing us. Just charge us $24. So now my understanding is that the new policy, being the favored nation, the drug has to be $24. Can't sell it any cheaper to anywhere else. It has to be the cheapest price possible in America. Kenneth, good for you. Did a 30-minute walk this morning. Is that a daily thing or just an occasional thing? Yesterday, I just went. I almost didn't, and I'm really glad that I did. You know, I've heard it said that the only workout that you regret is the one that you skip. That's so good. I've been trying to do some, I've had some shoulder challenges, issues lately. So I'm trying to strengthen up the shoulders, doing some presses and doing some all sorts of stuff. Got to do more though. Got to take care of it. Look, none of this other stuff matters if our health is shit. So like, I want my favorite people to be around forever. So yeah, let's all try to level up our health, please. That's my message to the world. Gaina Fauci. This will mess up Kenneth's vibes, but you see this one? Like you see that dude? That dude came over and stomped on the skull of this guy. Bro, that's not football. That's not basketball. That's not MMA. There's literally nowhere you can get away with that. Stomping somebody's head because they fight for a loose ball. Like that's a criminal charge. That's assault. Why'd it just stop there? Now it's just pausing on its own. What the hell's happening? I'm not doing that. Why is it pausing this video? That is crazy. And I don't know if it matters, but it looks like there's an Asian team playing a black team here. I don't know. You can actually hear that. Oh, you can hear it. It's a thump. No, I mean, I just got, I mean, this is. Resulted in a criminal charge, right? Like you curb stomp somebody's skull. Like that's, you don't kind of let that just go. We said, dude, that's not a basketball play. Hang on, I got to change the. Seriously, an a-hole. Dude, that's not a basketball play. Unless you're the Pacers who played their dirty brand of basketball while trying to injure Cavs players during this recent playoff matchup. The NBA referees who gave so many calls to Indy should be ashamed. All right, I took my chance to take my shot. Thomas Sowell quotes. Put this out. This story from June 2020. 71-year-old grandmother expires of shock and passes away after she was forced to watch her 3 granddaughters being abused at gunpoint at her home in South Africa. I remember covering this story when it happened. I think this is a legitimate story. I'm not going to. Bill Malugin reports that a teenage illegal alien invader who was driving without a license, not shown in this picture, teenage illegal alien without a license at over 90 miles per hour crashed into a woman and ended her life in Aurora, Colorado last year. What would you say the penalty for something like that should be, huh? Something? How about nothing? How's that sound? Nothing? Is that okay? Given only community service and probation by the Arapahoe District Attorney's Office, 0 prison time. Illegal alien. This person should be sent to Bukele immediately. They should go be picked up by Tom Homan. Sent to Bukele. You ended the life of this lady being reckless and stupid in a place you had no business being. You're not allowed to be here. Once again, every day it's something else, right? Let me play you the intro of this clip and tell you Alex's analysis. That's a pretty good phrase there. Alex's analysis.
President Trump has discovered that Reuters, AP, and Bloomberg are really run by Western intelligence agencies and have CIA operatives still inside operating.
Of course they do. They always have been.
Sure, Trump's fired the top globalists out of the intelligence agencies, but their people are still operating inside Reuters, AP, and Bloomberg. That's why Trump's move today to ban AP, Reuters, and Bloomberg off of Air Force One was so critical.
Ooh, banned from Air Force One 2 days ago.
We're about to lay out information that the deep state is desperate to keep you from knowing.
All right. Well, that's why they were removed. And did you see this shenanigans from the hearings yesterday or 2 days ago from Bobby Kennedy Jr.? He's giving his hearing. Look at how he jumps. Watch this. Remember, Bobby Kennedy was woefully underprotected by Secret Service under Biden. Because remember, Bobby Kennedy would have been the Democrat nominee had they not rigged their process for Joe Biden / Kamala Harris. That's my interpretation of it. He had the support of the people. But check this out. He's given his report here. He's given his comments, and then this happens.
Or with less. The budget I'm presenting today supports these goals and reflects.
I mean, look at them jump. Why is it not playing? X, come on.
The budget I'm presenting today supports these goals and reflects.
The witness will suspend. The committee will come to order. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individuals from the hearing room. Members of the audience are reminded disruptions will not be tolerated. Members of the audience are reminded disruptions will not be permitted while the committee conducts its business. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individuals from the hearing room.
Or with less. The budget I'm presenting today supports these goals.
Those are your Democrats. What's going on with this mouse? It's been kind of weird, and then the button stopped working. I hope I don't need to replace any more technology. I'm so sick of buying laptops and ring lights and keyboards and cameras, and my God. Anyway, this is what the Democrats do. They're a bunch of children. Here's a father blasting the schools. Remember when I said the schools are probably the root of the major problems going on in the country? Here's a father.
Father of a third grader at Las Estrellas Elementary. Miss Director, I had emailed you. I had emailed the principal, the assistant principal, and the school social worker. My son, 2 weeks ago was exposed to a group of, let's say, gay men having sex on the iPad. And how my son came about it was he forgot his laptop at home, and your teacher lent my son his personal iPad. Well, when my son was doing a project with some of the other kids in the classroom, all of a sudden they closed out a tab. There was a bunch of naked men sitting right there in front of my son. And then all the other kids that had seen this, hey, they were shocked. But what's crazy is that I haven't heard nothing since. I didn't get a response from our superintendent. I had a meeting with your guys' assistant superintendent, your guys' assistant principal, but nobody had the decency to make my son important enough to show up to that meeting in the morning to tell me why he was able to be exposed to this type of material. Now, I've heard about the situation that happened at your guys' high school, at North High School, with the teacher that was involved with sexually explicit material as well. To me, I don't care what team you bat for, but you guys got to quit putting all this stuff in front of these kids, all this sexual material, regardless if it's a flag or if it's them actually seeing the content on an electronic device that is in school. Now, I came to you guys last time arguing about security factors with the students about how they were roaming around. Now, dude, you guys literally I was told that you guys weren't gonna inform the other parents in this classroom. Like, you guys will tell us if a student gets lice, if a student gets COVID, if he gets the flu, but you guys will not tell all the parents in the classroom that their kids were exposed to sexual explicit material. And I think that's weird. It's weird because how can you send out a text message about all these other things, but you can't tell parents that their kids were exposed to this? Now, my son, one of 6 kids.
Please finish your comment.
My son, one of 6 kids, was the only one to speak up about this and the only one to make it known. So now I ask y'all, what are y'all planning to do about this? How are y'all gonna protect these children and hide this material from them? Because it's everywhere in this world right now, especially here. You guys gotta protect these kids. And if y'all, as parents, students, and everything. Thank you for your time, sir. If you guys wanna see a difference, start looking at their paychecks. Y'all want change? Look at their paychecks. That's how you guys.
Thank you for your comment. Treasurer Thorson.
It's strange. You got to be really protective of the people that choose to hang around kids all day. You got to wonder what they're up to. Schools have got to be fixed. This one here, well, did we cover fluoride yesterday?
I think that, Marty McCary's concern with ingestible fluoride is that the emerging science shows the benefits to fluoride to cares and to cavity prevention comes from topical exposures rather than it was once thought that it was systemic, that if you ingested it, that the benefit came from that. We now know that virtually all the benefit is from topical, and we can get that through mouthwashes, we can get through fluoridated toothpastes. The National Toxicity Program issued a report in August, a meta-review of all the science that now exists on fluoride, and showed a direct inverse correlation between fluoride exposure, dose-related, and lower IQ. It's an issue that we have to all be concerned with. We want high IQ kids.
Mr. Hoyer,
right now.
Mr. Hoyer.
I appreciate that. I look forward to working with you on it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, there you go. Also, this is happening now. In-N-Out Burger is removing artificial ingredients from some menu items, eliminating artificial dyes from strawberry milkshakes and pink lemonade, replacing them with natural coloring, in the process of transitioning to a new ketchup that uses real sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. Bravo. He's also tackling the issue of Alzheimer's. Let's take a listen.
We're switching the trajectory so that we're going to really focus narrowly on chronic disease, ending the chronic disease epidemic, And then we're going to make sure that the science cannot be corrupted. At every scientific study is replicated. At the raw data for those studies is published. At the peer review for those studies is published. And we're going to focus on making sure that we get to younger scientists rather than the old boys network. And I could talk to you about scientific corruption all day long, about horror stories that we know have happened within NIH. One of those, probably the worst, is the amyloid plaque scandal. For 20 years, we were, because of utter corruption and fraud, we were directing Alzheimer's research to one hypothesis, and any other hypothesis was shut down. We should have the cure for Alzheimer's today. We don't have it purely because of corruption at NIH.
Ms.
And we
Frankel.
are going to have it quickly.
Ms.
Thank you,
Frankel.
Mr.
All right. Alzheimer's research. We should have the cure for Alzheimer's today. We don't have it purely because of corruption at NIH, and we're going to have it quickly. All right. I suspect that
We're switching the.
I suspect that cholesterol, statins, fats. My hunch is that Alzheimer's is due to lack of. I can't even talk about medical stuff without being sent. Fuck it, I'm censored all day anyway. No, it's like lubrication for your engine. You need motor oil. You need the gears to be moving. My understanding about Alzheimer's is that there's not enough omega-3s. There's not enough cholesterol. And this like war on cholesterol has been goofy, backward, misunderstood. Fats as well. It's just the certain kinds of fats, the certain kinds of cholesterol. So he thinks they're going to have an answer quickly. Let's hope. Dentist congressman comes out swinging, blah, blah, blah. You can check this one out. What is this post? Yeah, you've heard enough South Africa stuff for today. They say pay close attention to the Crown Prince. The president's departure from Saudi Arabia. Crown Prince personally escorts him back. Pay close attention to the Crown Prince. He's choked up with emotion, no doubt. One can only imagine how it feels for all of them, the alliance, knowing that they're here. Not tripping up the stairs. That's good. President Trump turns around, gives the fist to you. He accepts it, gives it back. Thank you. Back to you. Goodbye. What a moment. I sure hope some good comes from all this. I sure hope some good comes from all this. Marco Rubio talking about a government censorship program funded by U.S. tax dollars. Remember, we were talking about my shadow banning and the deep state's effort to make sure that I can't earn a living covering the news, even though other people can on YouTube, just I'm not for some reason.
Well, we ended government-sponsored censorship in the United States through the State Department, and let me explain how we.
And by the way, the government was pushing Facebook, Instagram, Meta, YouTube, Google to censor our content. Twitter, yeah, we weren't allowed to speak. That was government force. These aren't private companies. The government force shut us down, silenced me.
We get there. This started out, 10 years ago with this effort of let's go after the messaging that Al-Qaeda and ISIS and others are putting to radicalize people. Oh, no, who's going to be against that? That sounds normal. And then it was like in 2016, we had this foreign interference in our election. We need to start targeting some of that stuff. Those groups were then tagging. They were literally tagging and labeling voices in American politics, Ben Shapiro, the Federalist, others, tagging them as foreign agents. So you look at it and say, American taxpayers.
Well, hold on. Doesn't Ben Shapiro have dual citizenship, though? Hold on. Does Ben... Hold on, hang on. Does Ben Shapiro have dual citizenship? No definitive evidence. Born in LA in 1984, U.S. citizen by birth. Speculation. And he's expressed skepticism. Okay. Does Rubio look the same to you? In what way? In what way?
The State Department were paying groups to attack Americans and to try to silence the voice of Americans. And there were consequences. These weren't just a label they put on people. Some of these people got deplatformed. They got taken down.
Yeah, I got deplatformed. I got taken down. Ruined my whole fucking business model. 15 years going after this stuff. 15 years, and you guys have destroyed my ability to reach my audience. I put in...
They couldn't communicate. So it was outrageous. So I think what we have to do now, and Darren will be big involved in that as well, is sort of document what happened. Because one thing is to say it in a
How about a class action lawsuit?
Broadcast like this. Another thing is to actually put it on paper.
How many millions would it take to make up for what I could have been earning if you would have just let me communicate to the world instead of shutting me up and limiting my reach? Where could I be right now if I didn't fall in the middle of this trap? Being abused by my own government.
And there's two reasons to do it. The first is because I think people who were harmed deserve to know that and be able to prove that they were harmed. And then the other is to make sure it never happens again.
Yep. President Trump, while in the Beast being escorted into the palace for state dinner, Trump is being treated like a king, and the liberals can't stand this. I don't know what that music is, but there it is. Camels and horses and the Beast. Oh, my. Pretty cool entrance. That's like something out of the WWE or MMA. I didn't even know this story. Liz Cronkin is reporting this. Trump Club shooter who claimed he was Diddy's sex slave was hired by music mogul Cassie testifies. Liz Cronkin reports Cassie Ventura confirmed Trump hotel shooter and self-proclaimed Diddy sex slave who claims Diddy, Hillary, and Obama are part of a satanic cabal trying to kill Trump was one of Diddy's sex workers? These are outrageous claims. What are we? New York Post. Former porn star who engaged in a shootout with cops after storming the lobby of Trump National Golf Club. I don't remember this one. I don't remember this. Allegedly hired for sexual encounters multiple times in Miami. So some of this stuff's coming out. Look at this crackhead. Jonathan Oddie. Oh, he's odd. He's an oddie one. Shot up one of President Trump's Florida resorts before claiming to have Sean Diddy Combs been his sex slave. Signed an NDA with the disgraced rapper. All right. Well, there's a weird connection to Trump. Big scandal unfolding in Colorado school. David Fiel, a teacher who's been nicknamed Mr. Pedophile, has been arrested multiple instances for child SA. According to an affidavit, Fiel reportedly did all sorts of gross stuff. So you got to be really cautious of the kids, really cautious of the teachers. Go if you want to dig into all the gross stuff you did, go ahead. But that's a Roxborough intermediate teacher arrested on all sorts of charges. Tulsi Gabbard, director of DNI, talking with Megyn Kelly.
Then we did fund it. Then Anthony Fauci helped fund the pandemic.
The thing that he denied over and over and over to Senator Rand Paul's questioning.
That's right. Under oath.
Under oath, exactly. So is it any wonder that he sought a preemptive pardon for anything during a certain period of time by President Biden before he left office?
And then we did.
We have got to go get Fauci. No more delays. Indict him. Find a way. This Democrat says, do you agree with the cuts to Medicaid and RFK? Well, here, let's just listen.
So do you disagree with the cuts that are being proposed for Medicaid right now?
Oh, the cuts to, this is I don't know if you understand this or whether you're just mouthing, the Democratic talking points. The cuts to Medicaid are for fraud, waste, and abuse. And I'll tell you what that means. It means that because of DOGE, we were able to determine, and it's about 8 million people who would be affected. Because of DOGE, we were able to determine that there are 1 million people who are claiming Medicaid from multiple states. That's illegal. It's theft. You're not allowed to do that. There are another 1 million people who are collecting both under Obamacare
and
Mr. Secretary, that has nothing to do with the budget that's
these are
actually
the only
being
cuts that are
proposed
being
in the
made.
House.
These are the only cuts that are being made to Medicaid.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. There are another million illegal aliens. We announced a law yesterday, a rule yesterday, we're not going to pay illegal aliens anymore. And guess what Gavin Newsom did this morning? He said we're going to take all the illegal aliens off the California Medicaid rolls because the feds aren't paying for them anymore. So the compassion ends.
Secretary, let me focus you on the actual numbers of the
last
budget
group,
that's being proposed.
the final
Secretary, I regain my time. I think what you are saying is
final
absolutely inaccurate in terms of the 13 million Americans that will lose access to health care. Let me tell you, the folks in my district are not actually getting Medicaid in another state. They can't travel to get it in another state. The clinics that are providing that life-saving
Let me
care
tell you
are the last resort for
Let me
folks in
tell
our
you the
area.
last category. Last category is adults who are able-bodied, who refuse to look for a job, to volunteer, to get a job, or to show that they are or to take a part-time job.
I agree with time. That
those
is
are the
absolutely
only-
not true. The vast majority of folks in a community like mine who are on Medicaid are working. They want to work. People want to be able to make sure
Then
that
they're in no danger of losing their Medicaid.
That's just not true. We've seen in
Yes, it
time
is.
after time, including in Arkansas and Florida and other states, that when you put
This is a new
more
program.
red tape, yes, but we've seen this chapter before. When you put more red tape in front of people actually getting that life-saving care, you're going to prevent people from accessing health insurance and being able to go see a doctor.
Medicaid is for poor children. It's for women, for mothers, and it's for the disabled.
It is. And
It was-
13 million of those people are going to lose health insurance if this budget becomes law.
They're already losing their health insurance because of all the able-bodied people who are not looking for jobs on Medicaid.
Secretary, I'll just close by saying this. I hope that you remember the.
So that battle's happening in Medicaid. President Trump figured out Big Pharma finally.
I would fight so hard to get a half a point, and I actually had it down a half a point for 1 year, and I was so proud of myself because that never happened before. It was always going up. Drugs only went in one direction, that's up. And now, after studying the industry, it's a very complex industry, but I figured it out, and I said it's not going to happen. But the Democrats fought very hard to keep the prices of drugs very, very high. They really are to blame for this because they should have done something about it. And
Democrats had their chance. Trump just made it clear he busted Big Pharma's cartel and knows the game they play now. Piers Morgan uncensored. Prince Andrew's former crisis manager speaks to Piers Morgan about being caught on camera saying the royal had been effing underage girls and discussed a toe-sucking scandal. You can watch that if you want. Stephen Crowder here. It says, we carry flags to show what team you're on. Planting Old Glory says, I'm on Team America. Imagine going into a country demanding their acceptance while waving the flag of another team. This is the difference between what we're seeing from the South Africans now and the millions of illegals that have flooded into our border across the last 4 years. Assimilation versus conquest. A takeover. Jake Tapper's a scumbag, says Tim Pool.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
It's very little kids with stutters. I remember this. What an asshole.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
He's claiming that Joe Biden's cognitive decline was a stutter. That wasn't a misinterpretation. That was bullshit from the beginning, and he knew it. This is 2020. We knew this in 2019. The dude was out to lunch. Couldn't even campaign. 81 million, my ass.
Very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You have no I can't. That's so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
and try and figure out an answer.
a cognitive decline. President Biden embraces his stutter, talking about it, while Trump
24. What just happened? Where did it go?
mocks it, exaggerates it, belittles it. He's
calling this a stutter and then putting out a book trying to pretend like he didn't know.
An answer.
A cognitive decline. President Biden embraces his stutter, talking about it, while Trump mocks it, exaggerates it, belittles it. He's sharp physically. I mean, mentally.
He's not sharp physically or mentally, never was.
Yeah, I think the question is physically, right? Right. More so? Right. Right. And the guy who's his chief opponent is only 3 or 4 years younger than him.
Exactly. I mean, you have questioned President Biden's age, mental fitness, ability to lead. Of those supporting Biden, you said, quote, shame on all of you pretending everything is okay. You're leading us and him into a disaster. Do you worry that you damaged him at all? I don't doubt that you got hugs and handshakes behind closed doors today, and maybe even publicly, some of them because they like you personally. But I've heard a lot of really nasty stuff about you from your Democratic colleagues. Sure. I mean, just like, what is he thinking? Exercise in narcissism. I mean, false claims to the Wall Street Journal about President Biden's mental fitness.
False claims. I love that they put things out there with their own spin on, oh, that's false. According to what? You're going to ignore your own lying eyes?
And acuity. He's 81, and his memory, you know, it doesn't seem great. It's not horrible, but I don't understand the outrage. Quote, behind closed doors, Biden shows signs of slipping, unquote. The Wall Street Journal is owned by News Corp, which is run by the Murdochs. Beyond the headline, there is some critical nuance here. The article is mostly based on observations of Republicans, with former Speaker Kevin McCarthy the only one going on the record. They do note in the article that most of the criticism comes from Republicans. Have you heard any concerns from anyone who has met with President Biden about him seeming a little slower? No. The Russians are trying to make us and the public not trust our election integrity. Joe Biden has.
Did you catch that? That was about the Russians again. These assholes. God, their producers are so fucking full of it. Russia. Yeah, Russia. God, we don't hate these media members enough. Yeah, David, they love to lie. Yeah, anyone saying bad stuff about Biden must be because Russia, something. That's as stupid as blaming everything on racism. Russia.
To make us and the public not trust our election integrity. Joe Biden has dementia, all this stuff.
Wait, where was the clip? Hold on, did I not rewind it far enough? I want to hear that Russia part.
Heard any concerns from anyone who has met with President Biden about him seeming a little slower? No. The Russians are trying to make us and the public not trust our election integrity. Joe Biden has dementia, all this stuff.
Yeah, Joe Biden has dementia and we shouldn't trust our elections. That's because of Russia, not because of reality. Jake Tapper is a scumbag. Lee Zeldin exposes Biden administration's secret stash of $20 billion in gold bars hidden in banks beyond government oversight. A blatant attempt to dodge public scrutiny. Zeldin declares the funds now recovered. What?
The Biden EPA political appointee talking about how they were tossing gold bars off the Titanic. Says it multiple times in the video, rushing to get billions of dollars out the door before Inauguration Day. Well, members of Congress were really concerned about that. So as I'm going through the confirmation process, they said, if confirmed, will you commit to making this a top priority to find those gold bars? Came in, I was just confirmed a couple weeks ago. We found them. They were at a bank parked just outside of government. $20 billion was sent there, and little oversight. 8 entities would be receiving all $20 billion, and they would be distributing all of these funds without EPA knowing everything that we need to do our job to provide accountability to Congress, the media, and to the public.
There you go. Got the money back. Good job. Amuse is reporting that James Comey's daughter handled Epstein and Diddy cases, and his son-in-law is now handling Abbey Gate bomber case. Why do members of James Comey's family get all of the sensitive DOJ cases? His daughter managed to convict Ghislaine Maxwell without having to provide the name of a single client. She has lost the key witness in the Diddy case. Now we learn his son-in-law is handling Abbey Gate bomber case. After we learn that the members of the Biden administration were implicated, can we just move on? Let the Comeys return to private life? Oh my God. No, we need to put Comey in jail. And this purple-haired lady claims HHS isn't managing measles and all sorts of things, but Anna Mattson shared this and says RFK completely puts this Congressman DeLauro in her place, and you should see every minute of it. There's an 8-minute clip I won't play, but it's there. Brianna Morello says 6 illegal aliens, aged 13 to 21, allegedly ended the life of a woman randomly. Larisha Thompson found gone in her car, Lancaster, South Carolina, going about her business Friday night, not bothering anyone. All of a sudden, 6 men and boys out to get something for nothing from someone they didn't know and had no business bothering, pulled alongside her car. And this guy opened fire, ending her life. There's no place for acts like this for the people that commit them. 6 illegal aliens ending the life of a young woman. Awful. Josh Hawley puts this out. Allstate CEO is cashing in $26 million a year, but the company can't afford to pay out their customer claims. Allow me to translate. Policyholders get screwed and Allstate's C-suite gets rewarded. Well, screw that. This Representative Shri Thanadar.
I don't know. What are the 5 Grosse Points cities? Well, look, I'm not here to answer a quiz. I'm here to say that I'm going to fight for the people of Detroit. I'm going to fight for my constituents. And Grosse Pointe. And all of the Grosse Points and all of Taylor and every every part of the 13th district.
I'm just do this real quick. Grosse Pointe Park, Grosse Pointe Woods, Grosse Pointe Farms, and Grosse Pointe Shores. Okay. Right. You know, on your campaign filings, it says occupation. Yours says United States government. Aren't you employed by the people of the United States?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, you fix that one. Okay, and finally, you're getting nailed with this one. The beagles. You abandoned the beagles, left them to die in their cages at your pharmaceutical testing.
See, look, I don't know.
This guy is a real piece of crap. Wasn't born in the United States, somehow allowed to serve in Congress. I think we need to reinstate that, or what? I think we need to clarify or change whatever needs to be changed. If you're not born in the United States, you shouldn't be able to serve in Congress or as president. If a president has term limits, so should Congress. If you can't serve as president unless you're a natural born citizen, well, then it should be the same for Congress. There's a good question to ask if you agree or disagree. Should people who are not born in the United States be able to serve in Congress or as president? Currently, you can in Congress. I disagree with that completely. Dingle, 92 years of Dingle. Who's Debbie Dreamland Dingle? Sleeping here in this meeting. In Congress for 10 years. Took over the seat from her husband, John Dingle, who had it for 59 years. And he took it from his father, who held it for 22 years. 92 years of Dingle. Florida men charged with kidnapping North Carolina teens. 2 Florida men.
Erickson Ulo Flores and 22-year-old Edwin Cardenas into custody on Sunday night. Both men are from Daytona Beach.
From Daytona Beach? No, they're not. According to this, it says they're illegal aliens. They're picking up kids, not picking fruit. Could be wrong, but they're calling them Florida men. But if they're illegal aliens, they are not. And they need to get, well, you know what I mean. Biden's team hid his decline from staff. How could you have possibly known about this? Scott Jennings responds.
And so far, we are still waiting for anyone to point out where Joe Biden had to make a professional decision or a presidential address where he was unable to do his job because of mental decline.
The Hur report, he had to testify. Robert Hur wrote in a report. I can't even charge this man because if I put him in front of a jury, they're going to say, oh, this is just a confused old man. We could never get a conviction. We had official government evidence that he was in cognitive decline. And what did the White House do? They smeared Robert Hur. They smeared him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with
do you not feel lied to? Do you guys, the Democrats who ran your party, who ran the White House, the people who lied to you as a journalist, do you not feel any sense of outrage about Karine or anybody else in the line?
We don't know what's going to be in the book, by the way. So
why, Basil, is a comment about diminished faculties in here?
I have no idea why the need to put that in there, unless somebody's foot was on the gas or a finger on the scale, whatever. I'm mixing metaphors, but you understand my point. That I have no idea why you would want to put that in the document. But at this point,
it's a warning.
It's not. Well, but
why
put the warning?
But why
put the warning in there?
It is. I mean, did it strike you as odd? I mean, it kind of seems completely beyond the scope of the conversation, which is whether he willfully classified.
I don't know if it's odd because the White House pushback was, well, the day he did his interview, it was the day after the Israel-Hamas war started. So are you telling me that the president's mental faculties are mostly diminished when he's dealing with a crisis? This
that's
is
not
vital.
A good response. That's like saying he hadn't slept. I understand, but they shouldn't have had to do it.
It is. Yep, teenage illegal alien over 90 miles an hour. Here's the video of that story I shared you earlier.
Caitlin Weaver last July as she drove home, her boyfriend on speaker, a nearby ring
Her boyfriend was on speakerphone?
camera recording. Caitlin Weaver was killed by a Jeep barreling through a residential neighborhood. The speed limit 45. The driver, investigators say, was doing more than 90.
She didn't even see him coming. That's how fast he was going. She was effectively killed instantly.
Just brutal. Reason 1,000 why illegals should not get breaks in America. Reason 1,000 why you want people vetted and assimilated, not just breaking in and doing whatever the hell they want. Babylon B says South Africa denounces white refugees for leaving before they had a chance to take all their stuff and kill them. Thank you, Babylon B. There's the humorous angle to that. People in Poland start chanting Donald Trump when talking about stopping their illegal immigration.
Donald Trump! Donald Trump! Donald Trump!
Donald Trump is now the rallying call worldwide for defending your sovereign nation.
Donald Trump! Donald Trump! Donald Trump!
Mila Joy says it's big news in Mexico. 17 members of the Sinaloa cartel, which is El Chapo's family, supposedly turned themselves into the FBI in San Diego. Not sure if that's true, but people are talking about that. So let's look into that later. And stuff happening today. President Trump has asked Apple CEO Tim Cook to not make Apple products in India. He wants these to be made in America. But, you know, that's not surprising. That's not anti-India. That's pro-America. Speaker Johnson is saying they're trying to get the economy going and get the tax plan together. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. But what about no tax on Social Security? Cat turd. Daily Caller says yesterday the House canceled votes for Friday. The last votes of the week will be tomorrow instead. Cat turd says they're exhausted from working 5 days in the last month and not doing anything when they did. We replied, our level of disdain for the GOP Congress is at an all-time high. This is the moment in time where the GOP should be working overtime to deliver the MAGA agenda, but they're failing under Speaker Johnson's leadership. Get it together. Gunther Eagleman asks, if a sitting member of Congress or their communication staff DM me again to ask that I tone it down on Speaker Johnson, I will politely reply with the middle finger emoji. Speaker Johnson is a spineless coward and doesn't deserve the seat he is in. We replied, agree, Gunther Eagleman. Real Donald Trump is famous for firing people. So if Speaker Johnson can't get the job done, why doesn't President Trump push for new leadership? There's only a year and a half with guaranteed majorities in Congress. Hashtag let's go. Data Republican says Speaker Johnson has demonstrated once again that he's willing to abuse his position in an effort to impede the agenda of the American people. His latest sham, canceling Friday's votes and blaming everyone else, is another embarrassing failure of leadership. Today, rather than addressing real issues, he's trying to distract us with performative Zeets, X-E-E-T-S? Huh? While Speaker tweets on X, maybe. While Speaker Johnson is throwing others under the bus, avoiding tough decisions, playing political games, and demonstrating how disconnected he is from the priorities of the American people, Americans are waiting on him to deliver lower taxes for families, restoring American energy dominance, strengthening border security, restoring peace through strength, and to making government work more efficiently and effectively. The contrast between MAGA and Speaker Johnson has never been more clear. President Trump is at, this is about a breakfast with business leaders. A reporter says, no Putin in Turkey. Are you disappointed?
Jennifer, go ahead. Mr. President, no Putin's address. No Putin's address. Are you disappointed by that? No, I didn't anticipate. I actually said, why would he go if I'm not going? Because I wasn't going to go. I wasn't planning to. I would go. But I wasn't planning to go, and I said, I don't think he's going to go if I don't go, and that turned out to be right. But we have people there. Marco, as you know, is doing a fantastic job. Marco's there, Secretary of State, and we have people there. But I didn't think it was possible for Putin to go if I'm not there, Jennifer.
So they're getting close, but what is this? Putin proposed holding peace talks in Istanbul. Zelensky showed up and Putin didn't. This account has red and yellow in it, or blue and yellow in it, so it's pro-Ukraine. But that should settle the question for anyone who still doubted which side truly wants peace and which side only pretends to while continuing to pursue war. President Zelensky arrived in Turkey. He said that the level of Russian delegation is a sham. Meanwhile, Peskov said Putin would not take part in the talks with Ukraine. This right here, it's a 47-minute video you can watch. It's Elon, who's from South Africa, saying South Africa has now passed 142 laws forcing discrimination against anyone who is not black. Even though I was born in South Africa, the government will not grant Starlink a license to operate simply because I am not black. This is a shameful disgrace to the legacy of the great Nelson Mandela, who sought to have all races treated equally in South Africa, and they've gone full crazy mode. That was my last part there. There's the dance, kill the farmers, we know. Harvard actually wrote a plan to increase the proportion, according to Christopher Rufo. Harvard wrote a plan to increase the proportion of women and minorities in certain occupations to more than 90%. It's not about equal opportunity. It's about punishing whites, men, and especially white men. Elon says, wow. This EFF leader in South Africa says, we have not called for the killing of whites for now. Elon says, for now? We're wondering if this killer of the InfoWars person is in the country legally. Chris Hansen busts a child predator and a BLM activist. Not surprised. Good, thank you. Border Czar took the fight to CNN, laying out exactly what's going on with ICE's mass deportation push. And Tapper brought up AOC threatening Homan Unleashed and said what CNN viewers were never supposed to hear. Just like that, the narrative collapsed on live TV. Right after this dude drinks the water, Portugal's right-wing nationalist leader, Andre Ventura, suddenly collapses mid-speech. Maybe the water had nothing to do with it. Maybe the water was poisoned. I don't know. President Trump is being escorted into Abu Dhabi by Emirati F-16s. It's the third country in 3 days to welcome 47 with fighter jet escorts. The respect for our president is totally unprecedented. Matt Van Swell reporting, Batcave, North Carolina officials confirm that the Amish are quietly building a small village of tiny homes to live in while they work to rebuild Western North Carolina. The Amish plan to stay in the hardest hit areas until the work is fully complete. God bless the Amish. Democrat representative brings up a constituent who's facing hardship, and RFK says, okay, I want to help. Please call my office tomorrow, and I will personally ensure that she receives the help that she needs. Democrat rep, I'm the one asking the questions. These people are pathetic. RFK Jr. says the 76 shots that children in this country receive, none of them have been safety tested in pre-licensing studies against a placebo, which means we don't understand the risk profile for these products. That's something that I intend to remedy. Your taxpayers are paying for these people to fall asleep in these meetings. Here's two of them. Scott Jennings, hell yes, he's mad about who was running the country and making the decisions in America. Shri Thanadar really wants you to stop mocking him online.
They talk about where I was born. They talk about everything, my looks. They talk about my age. They talk about why I should be deported back to the country where I was born. They talk about my past business dealings and they distort my business record.
Where you left all those animals to die at your facility? The fact that you're not an American-born citizen? Maybe naturalized or maybe whatever with green card, marrying someone. Okay, but you're not you're not born in America. I don't trust you to represent American ideals. I don't understand why the president is different from Congress. You should have to be a naturalized born citizen, natural born citizen to be president or a congressional member. And what was the second part to that? Term limits. There should be term limits. Donald Trump surprises troops.
The 45th and 47th.
At the Qatar Air Base.
President of the United States, our Commander-in-Chief, Donald J. Trump.
Standing ovation. Can't play the God Bless America song. But look at this. Lee Greenwood's over here singing it.
And I had to stop.
How cool is that? Troops with their phones out. Truly a man of the people. Babylon B says, furious Democrats demand to know who is responsible for covering up Biden's decline. Yeah, it was them. I believe that was what I wanted to share with you today. Oh, Dr. Allison Wilt says, when 7% of the population owns 70% of the land, they are not a marginalized group, talking about South Africa's population. Wanjiru Najoya says, she blocked me, so I can't correct her. She's wrong about this. White farmers don't own 70% of the land in South Africa. They own 70% of farmland. That's because they cultivated it into farmland with the sweat of their own brow. It wasn't farmland until they cultivated it. Danny Bernard says the South African government just told the world that Afrikaner refugees aren't fleeing persecution. They're fleeing racial justice. Their president then called them cowards for escaping. Within hours, the U.S. National Security Council suspended all agency cooperation with South Africa. Elon says the South African government just said whites are cowards who are fleeing racial justice. But what exactly do they mean by racial justice? Theft and attack? And if you want a... well, here's a school board meeting. The mom is upset.
I am wondering if you are all pedophiles, because you don't seem to care that children are being sexually abused. So the only thing I could ascertain is that you guys probably enjoy child porn. I don't know, right? You're not looking. I mean, if somebody claimed that I was, I would say, I absolutely am not. I wouldn't let it stand as fact, but you guys love to let it stand as fact that that's what's going on, because you're not willing to stop it. So, I mean, if you're willing to perpetuate it, what else could you be? You're going to shake your head, then do something about it. No, Monica, you're not a pedophile. Then why aren't you doing anything about the child abuse that's happening in the county? Because you don't care. If you cared, you would want to stop it. If you cared if it happened to your child, you'd want to stop it. If it happened to you, you'd want to stop it. Jim, what if it happens to your grandchild? What if? Would it matter then? Probably, right? It's so horrible to think about. Right.
Next speaker, please. Yeah, anyone that's not going to protect kids. Speaking of protecting kids, that kid was just hit by that guy in Spain, a family enjoying a lovely day at the park when suddenly a migrant man in Spain approaches their child and delivers a hard slap to the child's head. And we said, what do you carry while you're out and about? When you go for your walks, Kenneth, do you carry anything? A sharp thing? A noise alarm? Actually, my noise alarm went off yesterday and I couldn't put the pin back in. I had to walk several blocks to get into the garage and put my headphones on and figure out how to put the pin back in. So there's like a sketchy dude walking in the street, walking past. Sketchy looking dude. Do you have pepper spray? A cordless hole puncher? If some monster attacks a kid, all bets are off. TNAM preparedness and TNAM self-defense. Gateway Pundit says 17 House Republicans led by Andy Ogles demands that Speaker Mike Johnson codify Trump's executive orders into law. Now is the time to act. Yeah. The resident-in-chief had cabinet meetings run by Jill Biden. The Easter Bunny escorted him off stage.
We're looking forward.
I'm not interested in going backwards in time. I'm interested in going forward.
We're not looking backward, we're looking forward at this particular moment in time.
Shook hands with the air, aimlessly walked away at global events, had note cards with names of reporters and their questions at every one of his 6 press conferences. There's been no investigation, no action, no idea who ran the country for 4 years, and the only thing Democrats have been told to say is that we're moving forward. This guy right here doing the right thing. Smashing out the window. Don't leave pets in hot cars. Elon says Teslas have automatic overheat protection to cool the car, ensuring the safety of babies and pets. That's actually really good design. Illinois is funneling $1 billion in public funds to NGOs with barely any checks or transparency, is the claim. I think I'll end on this John Brennan clip. Oh, he's busted.
This whole thing just makes me livid. It's appalling and outrageous and demonstrates why Tulsi Gabbard never should have been confirmed as Director of National Intelligence. Michael Collins and Marie Langen-Rykoff are 2 of the most experienced, accomplished, and talented analysts in the entire U.S. intelligence community. With over 60 years of combined experience, they have worked for successive administrations since the 1990s. They have demonstrated time and time again their capabilities, their competence, their integrity, and they have served as role models for a generation of intelligence officers inside of CIA. They're CIA officers by background and by training.
Brennan's part of the deep state. The whole thing makes him livid, which Western Lensman says Brennan's rage is serving as a ringing endorsement as Gabbard fires deep state heads of National Intelligence Council to root out politicization of intelligence. And I'm very happy about that. Liz Harrington says Tulsi must be over the target for this to happen. Privacy being essential to human liberty, and they've gone way overboard violating our Fourth Amendment rights. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you, everybody, for watching and being here on the TNAM Daily Show. We'll be back tomorrow. At the bottom of the screen here, follow The New American Media on Instagram, Facebook, True Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, D-Live, and YouTube at The New American Media. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. We're on X at American_media_. And please subscribe to our podcast at The Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and Apple. And if anyone wants to throw anything in our tip jar, I can stop sharing that. Our tip jar is on Patreon at The New American Media, Venmo and Cash App at Brian Engelman, scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and on PayPal at Fuzz Installment. So thank you, David. Thank you, Kenneth, and everybody else watching out there, live or after the fact. We appreciate you. We love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everyone. Peace.
Your guide to the truth, The New American Media.